wake up.
What's that?
I gotta wake up.
We'll get there. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Awesemo.com NBA Deeper Dive. That's right, another afternoon slate. We're diving into it. Listen, some early games here, 1 and 3:30 p.m. for the National Basketball Association postseason. I'm Dave Loughran, joined by Josh Engleman. Find the man at Josh Engleman on the Twitters, me at Loppy_D. And shout out to our sponsor, PrizePicks. I'll tell you how you get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum, $90 value, just a little bit down the road when you check out PrizePicks. But first, how we doing, pal?
Yeah, it was a good morning, and then Everton beat Chelsea, so things are a little bit worse. It is why soccer is better than American sports.
Why'd you have to tell me that and ruin my day?
The excitement in the stadium, just showing why everything is better in soccer than it is in American sports. Everton fighting to stay up, to not get relegated. If this was the NBA, you'd be getting 8 guys you don't know against a different team. You'd be getting tanking and all of the good players not playing. No. Packed house, going crazy, giant upset, trying to stay up. You get excitement at the end of your season instead of garbage like the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Portland Trailblazers. That's why it's better.
I don't know, man. Sometimes I feel like you're a walking contradiction. So let me elaborate here. Okay. So to avoid relegation means you're a bad team.
Yes, you're trying to not be one of the 3 teams that get kicked out of the league
into an even worse division or whatever it is.
Correct.
Okay. Like you guys know, I don't follow this, but I understand that, that would make sense. You are someone that hates watching bad teams. You say it's uncompetitive. So why just because, speaking just about the Pelicans the other day, you gave me hell for that. So why is Everton any different if they're a terrible team just because the game means something to them?
What do you mean? I wanted them to lose, not win.
You wanted them to lose. Who are they facing?
Yes. Chelsea.
Oh, okay. And your team's what, Liverpool?
Correct. Chelsea's the 3rd best team in the Premier League. Everton right now is sitting in 18th, which would get them sent down.
But what did the game mean to Chelsea?
Very little.
Okay. So, again, it's kind of the same concept of just having bad games out there and bad teams and not meaningful, except for the really bad team.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I just think it's a better mechanism than having Keljin Blevins and CJ Ellaby playing for Portland. Everton's giving everything they have because they don't have to just fake tank to get an extra 1% draft odds.
Yeah, the tanking mechanism definitely different. Definitely different there. Spaceman said it's too early to troll Josh. Josh isn't trolling at all.
No, I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
Jorge. Look, I don't think there's anybody that could disagree with me in that the end of the season in the Premier League where a relegation battle is in place is better than tanking basketball. That's not up for debate.
Oh, I don't think it is either. I just think it would both suck.
Right.
Jorge,
it's whether you like it or not,
it is
the soccer mechanism is significantly better than what basketball is doing.
Sure. Jorge said you guys were missed. Thanks, man. Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate you. We had some fun last week for sure. And Mr. Prowler, welcome to the team, man. Yeah, hit that join down below. You want to get those free super chats each month, the custom emojis, the sweet badges, all of that stuff. And we'll always prioritize your questions and comments along with our premium Discord members. But hit that thumbs up. 69 thumbs up, Josh. There you go.
Leave it.
I just hit it. We're at 70, but we got 500 people watching. So, 200 seems to be pretty possible here. And someone said, Laffy, the difference is no one was going to advance in a playoff. Everton was fighting to stay in a league, not eliminate Chelsea. No, I understand what he was saying. I was just pointing out that fighting to stay in the league is interesting in the sense that if they win, they get to stay in the league, but it doesn't take away from the fact that they're still a bad team. That's all I was saying.
The interesting part for Everton is that they're like a long-term team. They've been up for 60-something years. Like, for them to go down is
rough.
Is like a gigantic calamity. It'd be like if the Eagles got kicked out of the NFL and had to go play in the USFL next year.
What's the opposite of relegated? Promoted?
Yes.
Like, what's the word? Would it be promoted or?
It's promoted. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. See, critical thinking here. We're gonna get there.
We got
How long does it take for you to get promoted after you're demoted? I'm not saying there's a
year,
set, but like,
you have to go up the next year. Yeah,
but you can play one season and then So it's
you
not
see
like
that a lot where teams yo-yo. They'll go up 1 year down,
gotcha.
up 1 year down.
But it's not like a purgatory period where it's like you're down here for 5. Okay.
No, the goal is to get the hell out of there as fast as possible because you make so much less money.
Got it.
If you go down and you want to go back up and you spend knowing we're going to eat shit for a year, we're going to do whatever we can to get back up because that's how much television revenue contracts and all that other stuff happen. If you don't make it back up, you are in deep, deep financial trouble and you got to start selling off assets aggressively.
Okay. Well, we got 2 games to talk about today.
We do.
You got the Bucks, you got the Celtics, you got the Warriors, you got the Grizzlies, and it should be fun. 2 really good series, I would expect. I think Milwaukee-Boston's going to be a blast. This is a horrible matchup for Milwaukee, though. I'll talk about it in a minute. Anybody facing Boston is a bad matchup, but when you have, of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo, it'll make things a little bit easier, keep you competitive. Maybe they win. I don't know. But then Golden State and Memphis. We'll get into both of these, Josh. But to kick it off, first question here, is there any value, like good value today, or is Otto Porter our top punt?
It's not great right now. It's to me, really, really difficult to find anything good. Otto Porter is my highest ranked guy that you consider a value play. Like, he's the only guy highly ranked below 4K. And like, maybe Grant Williams, maybe Derek White, one of those 2 guys can be okay. I kind of like both of those guys a little bit more than our current ownership shows, but it is bleak. And to find that value, to be able to unlock Giannis at 11K, just a completely different price tier. Interesting slate today.
Mr. Prowler with a super chat. Thanks, man. Said, throwback to when Josh burned me for calling Pokusevski a versatile player. I'm sure it happened.
Yeah.
I'm sure it definitely happened. But all right, let's dive into this. Thanks, Mr. Prowler. We have Milwaukee on the road against the Seas. Now, I'm a little bit more excited to talk about Boston. Got some interesting stuff there, but we have to start it off with Giannis here. The big thing with Giannis is he's already one of the best per-minute guys in the league, but then you get into the postseason, particularly the second round here, against a far better opponent than the Atlanta Hawks, who they were just completely outmatched. You look at his playing time, or I'm sorry, Chicago completely outmatched. Like, I think Chicago was probably the worst team in the Eastern Conference playoffs.
Oh, for
worse
sure.
Worse than Atlanta. And I know that they were the either way. Giannis played 30 minutes in the last game, blowout, at least for a lot of 29 minutes in one, 34 in one. He did play 40 in one where they lost, but he played 40 in the game where they lost. And I guess what I'm saying is there's no reason to assume that his minutes don't balloon in this series.
I think they have to. With no, like, if Middleton was healthy, I think you could say like 36 for Giannis in game 1 makes sense. You know, you usually roll back the minutes a little bit in the first game of a series, and then they slowly build to your starters as you go a little bit further out. But, 38 seems pretty likely to me for Giannis today if they want to have any chance. Look, if Giannis isn't having monster games, Milwaukee's just not going to be competitive in this series. He's got to go big time. You can't take key pieces of your rotation out of a series and still hope to compete. That's going to be very, very rare. Milwaukee will still have the best player in the series in Giannis, but for now, I'm giving him 38 minutes, and I like him. He clearly looks really good. He has the highest raw point ceiling on this slate by many miles. I mean, we're talking about a guy that I have projected for 62 fantasy points on DraftKings. The next closest guy is Jason Tatum at 53. The problem is he's 11K and everybody else is priced reasonably. And while we're showing 40% ownership on Giannis. I think there are very obvious cases of not going to Giannis today. And I don't think that that's all that crazy because there's not enough value to support it.
Yeah, in 3 games against them this season, he's been fine, but he hasn't been stellar. And the truth is, can Giannis have an 80-point game against anybody? Yeah. The matchup sucks, though. I mean, the Celtics are very good at limiting points in the paint. You have Robert Williams healthy again. Al Horford's a quality defender. It's not one of the matchups you love here, but if you were prioritizing him with price tag in mind, obviously, because as you said, highest raw projection on the slate, how does he stack up against Morant and Tatum, who are considerably cheaper?
Depends who you're asking, I guess.
What's up?
Like the public basically looks at everybody the same. We've got Giannis, Jason Tatum, and Ja. The only people above 9K. I mean, Ja and Tatum are both in the 9s. Giannis up at 11. They're all basically the same in ownership. Giannis 41, Morant 35, Tatum 44. And I think that all makes intuitive sense. I just think from a lineup construction possibility, like it's so much easier to get to Ja and Tatum than it is to get to Giannis. Like that extra $1,400 for Morant and $1,600 for Tatum just buys a better player. It buys you out of having to go to Looney, Javon Carter, Tillman at 3,300 and takes you to Tyus Jones, Grayson Allen, just guys with higher raw point ceilings. So do I think all 3 guys should be similar in ownership? Yeah, but I'm going to feel a lot more confident in a lineup that I don't have Giannis in because it's just going to look better. Now, if you're trying to win a large field GPP, maybe that's what you need. Maybe you need Giannis plus Kevon Looney at relatively low ownership to hope for the best. It just means that you got to hit your wild card as well. Yeah,
the Celtics make life very difficult. Right? They are a good rebounding team. They take away opposing rebounds. They take away points in the paint. Like if John Morant was a better option at 9,600 when all is said and done, nobody's even a little bit surprised on a slate like this. So,
no.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll get into that one as well. But now you have the rest of this team. So Chris Middleton is still sidelined, which gives you Drew Holiday, Bobby Portis, who had seen some very solid minutes and production in that series against Chicago, 33 and 32 minutes over his last 2 games. And that 25 minutes, he would have gotten north of 30 had they not been up by 30 points late in that game. Do you think, and this is probably the most interesting way to look at it, do you think Budenholzer does anything different with the starting lineup, given that, Chicago was a terrible 3-point shooting team, and it would be a lot easier to run, a bigger front court against them than it would be possibly against Boston?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Bobby Portis became somebody else. If he became Grayson Allen or Connaughton or Carter.
Boston. Let me tell you this real quick. Boston's 3-point attempts in the 4 games they faced Milwaukee this regular season, and I actually think it's relevant: 50, 47, 45, and 41. So
yeah, they're letting it sail.
What's up?
They're letting it sail.
Yeah, and you have to. Milwaukee allowed the most 3-point attempts in the league this season, 40 per game. So it would be interesting to see if that is the game plan going into this. Maybe they tighten up or they make the starting lineup a little bit smaller, give themselves more perimeter shooters, but also more perimeter defenders.
Although, I mean, what did Portis shoot from 3 this year?
He's a good 3-point shooter, but I feel like it's all corner threes.
I can't remember. I feel like he was actually bad this year, but I could just be thinking of last year. He had like an outlier season recently.
He shot 39%. That's not bad at all.
Okay, good. I couldn't remember. I know that he had an outlier somewhere. Okay, no, he did have an outlier last year. It just went the other way. He was 47% from 3, which is obviously preposterous. He backed down to really good. Yeah, so I mean, it's not like you're not taking Bobby Portis off and getting more shooting on the floor. So I don't know if that's the answer. I think it will probably hold true then.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess so. So what do you like?
Jesus.
What do you like with the rest of this team then, outside of Giannis?
Nothing. Drew Holiday, obviously, 8,100 on FanDuel, 8,200 on DraftKings, just gets a giant usage bump by having no Chris Middleton out there. 34% assist rate. Him and Giannis are basically going to do everything offensively. They are going to drive every single bit of offense for this team because they just don't have the rest of the guys to be able to do that. A lot of guys are just going to have to knock down their shot. So we've got Drew Holiday, 42% owned on FanDuel. I think that's completely warranted. He's 27% owned on DraftKings. I think that's completely warranted, but I don't see how you separate the rest of these guys. Portis, Lopez, Grayson Allen, Wes Matthews, Connaughton, Javon Carter. I mean, to me, $3,200 Javon Carter is probably my favorite option outside of the top two guys because he's not getting nearly as much ownership and he's 3,200. Whereas like you got to get a very specific game out of Grayson Allen. You got to get a very specific game out of Brook Lopez. You don't need all that much out of Javon Carter on a day like today. If he goes over 20 fantasy points, that might just be enough for you.
How many minutes do you have him in for?
Carter?
Yeah.
20.
This is one of those spots where I think Grayson Allen is underwhelming and, comes back down to earth considerably. Not to say that he was ever going to produce at that clip that he did over the 2-game span. And it's not like his price tag's insane, but, and look, he shot really well from 3 against Chicago. I just can't stress enough, Josh, how, and most people that watch basketball and know about basketball know that this matchup against Boston compared to Chicago is, it's not just night and day. I think Boston's probably the best team in the East right now.
Yeah. They're literal opposites defensively.
Right.
In that Boston's really good everywhere and Chicago was basically not good anywhere.
Exactly.
So it's just the amount of work that Milwaukee is going to have to do for 48 minutes a game, every single game.
Just to get open looks.
Down like their 2B player. I mean, it's really, really, really tricky here.
And now you do have Robert Williams starting, confirmed.
Yeah, that's not helpful for Milwaukee.
You want to talk about Boston here? Or is there anyone else from the Bucks?
I wish there was for Milwaukee, but I mean, they locked down an 8-man rotation to close out that series. And I think that's about where we're going to be now with no Chris Middleton. So you guys, what you're looking for out of the Portis, Lopez, Allen, Matthews, Connaughton group, out of that group is the guy that makes the most shots. And that is not something that I have, that I feel particularly confident about. I had Portis, Lopez, Allen, and Wes Matthews all show up in my sim like 10% of the time. That's not great for a 4-game slate. I don't like Milwaukee. This is a bad spot.
Okay. We had a super chat, $20. Thanks, Jay Bravo. I appreciate you guys. Josh, you helped me a lot on PrizePicks last week, over 20K this past week alone. Wow. Help me out. 2 questions. Giannis over under 29.5 points. And can you give me one other over under points other than Portis? Does it have to be points? Because on PrizePicks,
why
I legitimately like basically all of the 3-point overs for the Celtics. They're like Marcus Smart's at 2. If you're comparing this elsewhere, like let's say just DraftKings, Marcus Smart, his 3-point prop on DraftKings is, oh, okay. So never mind, that moved. So he's plus 110 over 2.5. Jason Tatum's minus 135 over 3.5. I already hit that one earlier. It moved a little bit on the over for Tatum, but I like over 3s for some of these Boston guys, particularly Tatum.
I like Jaylen Brown over 2.8 or over 2. I have him at 2.8 for Tatum. Tatum I have on the number, but I think Jaylen Brown is underrepresented there.
Okay.
Al Horford, no. Portis.
Dude, Tatum, and we can flip over to this. Tatum.
Oh, by the way, I have Giannis at 31.3, so I would take that over, but it's not something that I love.
Thin margins, yeah. By the way, that's a nice little segue, Jordan. Segue into our sponsor PrizePicks because, well, not only do you get a $100 first match deposit bonus when you sign up using the promo code Awesemo, using the link below or the one Jordan's about to put in the chat, but you get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum, $90 value. All you have to do is sign up, use that link in the description, and make a deposit over at PrizePicks. All of that entirely for free. We already have the free PrizePicks NBA prop tool over at Awesemo. It's daily prop based contest. It's very fun. You build lineups with 2 through 5, however many you want. If you hit 5, you 10x your money. If you hit 4 or 5, you still 2x, unlike traditional props at other books. Still make money back on 3. And if you go just like with a power play and want to do a 4-player lineup, you hit all 4 of them. You got to hit all 4 though to make money. You 10x. Lots of different ways to play it, depending on your risk tolerance, and lots of ways to really build your bankroll over there. Check it out, PrizePicks.com. Download it in the App Store, the Google Play Store. But like I said, use the promo code Awesemo. Get up to $100 first match deposit bonus, AWESEMO. And when you use that link, you get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. That's every single tool for every single sport on our site, the entire 30 days, no strings attached. We'll hit you up in like 24, 48 hours so you can redeem that. PrizePicks, sponsor of the Deeper Dive, baby. And yeah, congrats, man. It's nice, 20K in a week.
Hell yeah.
All right. So where was I at? Oh, yeah.
Boston.
Let's talk about Boston. We'll start with Tatum. I know 3 games, it doesn't mean much, Josh, in terms of if I'm looking at efficiency or actual, fantasy points, I don't care all that much about that. But I kind of do care about the fact that in 3 games against Milwaukee this year, Tatum has attempted 36 threes. And that's what I was talking about. That's a lot of 3-point attempts, 10 plus in every game. He hit 4 plus in every game. But even in the game he didn't play, they still attempted like 47 or 53s. This is the recipe to beat the Bucks, and they're already a good 3-point shooting team.
Lock and load Boston today, man. They look incredible. I think they should be owned more than they are, particularly at the bottom end. Like Tatum, 10-3 on FanDuel, 9,400 on DraftKings. If I have to describe why you should play $9,400 Jason Tatum today against Milwaukee with no Middleton, you haven't been watching the playoffs just yet. So love him. Clearly my favorite play on the DraftKings side. On the FanDuel side, though, Tatum is $900 more expensive, whereas Jaylen Brown maintains the same price. So I like Jaylen Brown more on FanDuel. I like Jason Tatum more on DraftKings. We're talking about 2 guys with 30% usage, close to 20% assist rate, 58, 59% true shooting. They just look good. Now, so does the rest of this team. Smart, Horford, Grant Williams at 3,800. Robert Williams now starting at $5K. Derek White, 3,900 if you're looking for value. Grant Williams, Robert Williams, Derek White. Robert Williams' ownership is going to go up now that we have him in as a starter, but Grant Williams and Derek White are both sub 20% owned. I am interested in going to either one of those guys in the sub 4K range if you're trying to find a little bit of extra value. I think they look good in this series. I'd be willing to take my shot at them getting to, 25 fantasy points, but basically everybody outside of Peyton Pritchard and Daniel Tice, to me, look good to great on this slate. Boston's just standing out dramatically.
This is clearly a very good team to target. I mean, that's why with Milwaukee going against Boston, much worse matchup. But when you look at Milwaukee's defense in that opening series, it was perfect. Chicago's a terrible 3-point shooting team. They shot like 26% from 3, and then they lost Levine. DeRozan, terrible 3-point shooter. Vooch was chucking up like 10 a game to no avail. Who else do you have to go out there and chuck up threes and consistently put yourself in a position to make them? They don't, but they also don't have many guys that are great in the paint. Like, sure, DeRozan's a good mid-range guy. Vooch is whatever, but he's not really a bruiser. They had nothing. With Boston, you've got a little bit of everything here. And I don't know how. I'm not saying Milwaukee can't stay competitive. It's a 4.5-point spread down from 5. But I do think that this still sets up well for the Boston Celtics. Like you said, for Tatum, for these value guys, for Brown, for Marcus Smart. Essentially, all of them are in a position today to play a lot of minutes. Not every one of them, but all of the top guys to play a lot of minutes and to have unlimited opportunities. The reason I mentioned threes too, Josh, isn't just for prop betting, because I do like those overs today. But when you are chucking up double-digit threes, if you're Jason Tatum, if you knock down 5 or 6 threes, especially on DraftKings with the bonus, it elevates everything that much more.
It really does. Man, this D. McAllister guy is clueless in chat. I'm really enjoying it. It's just fascinating how someone can be so wrong so easily. No, the minutes are going to be like Tatum's going to play 40, Jaylen Brown's going to play 38 or more, Marcus Smart's going to play 36. Like, there's no doubt about this rotation. There's not even questions about Boston's rotation other than, do they want to stop Daniel Tice from playing if Robert Williams is back and able to soak up playing time? It's so easy to get the it's a pace up spot for Boston too. It's a worse defense than they would normally be getting. Like, that's just, they look fantastic. I don't really have anything else I could say about Boston at this point. I just want to play all of them. Now, obviously, there are like mild amounts of rules you'll want to pay attention to. Like, you don't want a Horford, Grant Williams, Robert Williams line. Like, probably 2 of 3 of the bigs is the direction you want to go. But any sort of combination otherwise for Boston, to me, works out perfectly.
Who's your favorite option outside of Tatum?
Jaylen Brown.
Okay.
It'd be Tatum for me, then Brown is a close second, and then I think there's a little bit of a gap. I think Robert Williams is the third best option.
What about the favorite value option among like Derek White and Grant Williams and the like? Because value is scarce today. There's not much out there.
That is a very true statement. Derek White at 3,900 feels like the guy I want to get to the most between him and Williams. Just because every extra minute Robert Williams plays now, it doesn't have to come from Grant Williams. It could just go, like, they can get rid of Tice, basically. I think it's just easier for Derek White to get some extra minutes against a Bucks team that's just going to be trotting out Connaughton, Carter, Wes Matthews, Grayson, like a lot of guys that are just like Derek White. So I think Derek White fits a little bit better here.
D. McAllister, no, nobody's upset about it, man. No one's even arguing. It's, you came in hot, right, with the LOL, and then you came in even hotter with the all caps. You came in with some serious conviction.
Right,
so,
which is insane. They're plus 175 to win this series. That's like...
Well, I asked if he was a Bucks fan, which I think is a reasonable question. Generally speaking, and I've been doing this long enough, when I'm approached with a comment like that, most of the time, there is some alignment there, right? There's some...
Yeah. Oh, I lived in Milwaukee since I was born.
Yeah, there's something going on there. So now it was just a guess, apparently a wrong one, but usually there's some loyalty to the team. And the thing is, if you're like, I like the Bucks to win this, all right, but LOL Celtics are getting smashed. They beat the Nets, and now all of a sudden they're the best. Dude, no matter how bad the Nets were in that series, the Bulls were 50 times worse.
Yeah. Also, everyone thought the Celtics were really good before the Nets series started. That wasn't like new breaking news. Personally,
I still thought the Nets would stay competitive in that series. I did not see that coming at all. But I was pretty, even after Chris Middleton went down, with Chicago, do people realize how stagnant that offense actually is? That Bulls offense?
No, they have no idea.
And then without
the Bulls were really good in October and November and December, and people just think that that's the same team that was playing in April.
I said they wouldn't make it out of the first round back in the first month of the season, where everyone was on the hype train. Now, granted,
no team with Nikola Vucevic at center is going to go anywhere in the playoffs.
No, granted, like Lonzo and Caruso defensively were a force. So yeah, you lose them, but it wouldn't have made a difference. Zero offense on that team. You say Vucevic, but the truth is, and maybe I'll catch some scorn for this, DeRozan's not the guy you want either. I'm sorry, he's not. Like, he can pile up points, but when you can't shoot threes for shit, like, at all, it hurts when no one else on the team can either.
Yeah, they needed everybody to be healthy to have any sort of shot to guard. They're like the inverse Jazz. They've got really good perimeter defenders in Caruso and Lonzo, and if you want to say Patrick Williams to a degree, and no rim protection whatsoever in Nikola Vucevic.
Nothing. And hey, McAllister, no hard feelings, man. At all. You come in hot though in chat. Sometimes we're going to talk about it, especially if it makes for good conversation.
You can't LOL the team that's the favorite to win the East
Well, really, LOLing
sizable
our
favorite
opinion.
in this series.
Right. Well, really, LOLing our opinion of the Bucks, which is good. I like some dissenting thoughts, but
like it's not to me. I don't think that you can make any case other than the Boston Celtics are a better team than the Milwaukee Bucks when the Milwaukee Bucks don't have Chris Middleton. That's not a hot take. It's just the answer. Regardless of who wins this series, that's the answer.
I agree. Well,
it's just how it works. You just can't take away one of the best players and think that it's not.
Jorge with another $20 super chat. Are you going to restrict number of players per team for tournaments, large field on DraftKings? Who would you fade? Top three. Oh, did you ask 5 questions in this super chat, Jorge?
Getting his money's worth, man.
Shit. All right, hold on. Let's just work through this real quick. I'll fire them over to you, and we'll quickly move through this. Are you going to restrict number of players per team?
No.
For large field tournaments, who would you fade? Pretty broad question.
Yeah, I mean, based on the ownership right now, Giannis.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not telling you to fade Giannis. If you make lineups with Giannis, play Giannis. He's really, really good. But I think he's a little overowned for right now for what the rest of the roster construction would look like.
Top 3 exposed players.
Jason Tatum. Brandon Clark. Desmond Bane? I don't know. Just guessing.
And lastly, how much exposure would you have on Clark and Brooks? We already have a lot on Clark.
A lot on Clark and a lot on Brooks.
All right.
More than the field on both at this moment.
Let's talk about the Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors, unless you have anything else to close that first game out, Josh.
Not really. Just play a lot of Boston. I think they're fixing to look pretty good today.
All right. And hey, hit that thumbs up. We're 175. We got 1,100 people. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable, Josh. 175. And I mean, you're talking like 10% ratio.
I know.
There.
It's embarrassing. The other 1,000 of you that haven't hit the like button yet should be embarrassed with yourselves. How do you wake up on a Sunday and not try to give out to everyone?
That's what I'm saying.
What today is for.
Atone for your sins, my friends.
Yes.
All can be forgiven. It helps us out, though. Otherwise, we wouldn't ask you for it. And subscribe to the channel, too. Appreciate you. EMac with the free super chat. Josh, what would Sean V do?
Say a bunch of wrong shit over and over.
You have really balkanized chat, and they, not all of them, but I mean, there's no backpedaling. There's no pumping the brakes for you anymore. I feel like you're just getting more fierce when it comes to these.
I have no patience for lack of intelligence.
Oh, come on. You don't got to put it that way.
I mean, look, it's not so bad in basketball for Sean V, but when we do the baseball nonsense and it's like, this guy can't hit home runs when he's on the road on a Wednesday and it's below 54 degrees. I can't take that shit, man. I just can't. I'm not wrong.
You're intolerant.
Yeah, I should be. He's like milk to me.
Wait, what do you mean? You don't like milk?
Yeah, no, I am intolerant of it.
Oh, you are. You're actually okay. I didn't know that. Learned something new.
Yeah.
Julia, no, hold on. Almost human. This is a good question. Josh, who made you this way? Are your parents very cynical people too?
No, not at all.
No?
No.
I wonder where in life.
I mean, they live like simple lives. They don't have time for like active communication with strangers. They live in a bubble.
All right.
They've lived in, my dad's had the same zip code his entire life, and it's not exactly a big place. 6,000 people live in my town. He's never written a different zip code in his life for his address.
That's crazy.
Yeah. My mom has only ever lived in one other place. It's 8 minutes from our house. It just happens to be a different town. Like they're insulated.
Well, we're at 300 likes, so thank you guys. Many of you will have a better day now because of this. Let's hit on Awesemo Hall of Fame, Jordan, and then we'll go to the second game. And we turn it over to Live Before Lock. That's right. You got LBL coming up next. Your boy EMac with Eric Lindquist. from 12
Eric and Eric in the afternoon.
Yeah, E&E 12-1, and then E 12-1, and then they're going up to 130 if you're hanging out on this wonderful Sunday afternoon and you want to spend some time with them, sweat some games, talk some bets, a little basketball along the way. They'll be there up and after lock. But anyway, Awesemo Hall of Fame. What is it? I'll tell you. You want to get up here, inducted into the Awesemo Hall of Fame. It's a great place to be. All you have to do is download the Awesemo profile picture at awesemo.com/avatar. Finish top three in a field of 5,000 or more. It could be the quarter arcade. It could be the nickel. It literally doesn't matter. And tweet us at Awesemo, HOF. Awesemo Hall of Fame. Win a free month of Awesemo Plus as well. Awesemo Plus Platinum, $90 value. When you do that, you got to be rocking the avatar. It could be DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, wherever it is you're playing these contests with those prize pools. Or even if you don't qualify, but you're proud of it and you want to get up here in the Hall of Fame, hit us up over at Awesemo HOF as well. Let's do this. EMac sends one. Hey, Awesemo, I'd like to formally nominate these gamers rolling with the Awesemo avatar for Awesemo Hall of Fame based on Friday's MLB results. Can we get them a free 30-day subscription? Terry McBride, T McBee, 30K, and the Colts, 5K, first and third, repping the Awesemo avatar. Michael Yamanda, I hit the showdown, so now I can enjoy some salmon fish. That's right, man. Get the big as much as you can find. Thanks for all the daily tools. 21-6. Big day there. And then you have WJ. Thank you guys for all the help. Third day trying MLB DFS and off to a good start. Second place, $500. Keep it moving. We got a lot today. Jordan Lockhart, nice little welcome back, brother. Missed y'all. Time to get back in the grind. Thanks for the best content as always. Turning 1,700 into 50K. That's a win. And then this was a huge one, Josh. Thursday and Saturday from Wicked Mumbles. Had to give props to the tools and projections. 10,379 and 60,688 in 2 days over a 3-day span. And finally, our boy Alex Baker showing off what we got going on over at Odd Shopper there. Free tool. It's awesome. 1,000 in the 7,500. All of you guys, welcome to the Hall of Fame. Welcome back. If you've already been inducted, hit that awesemo.com/avatar up, get the avatar, use it, and tweet us at Awesemo HOF and include us in there as well. We like to see these wins. All right, let's talk Warriors. Let's talk Grizzlies. Kick it off with Golden State. We'll start with Jordan Poole. I'm curious to know, especially given his ownership, where you stand on Poole now that his price point has come down considerably, and also now that Curry is back in the starting lineup.
Not all that interested in him. Like, clearly good. I think there are 6 legitimate plays for Golden State, plus the 2 wild card options if you want them. I gave Poole 34 minutes. I don't think Golden State goes too crazy from a minutes perspective. When you're the 2.5-point favorite in game 1 on the road, you can afford to like slightly pump the brakes a little bit because you're just a massive favorite in the series. So I gave Poole 34 minutes at 6,800. He is good, not great. And you're seeing the way that my sim spit out everything today is the same way that public ownership is coming out. Here is the ownership for the 6 guys expected to play north of 20 minutes today. That would be Curry, Thompson, Green, Poole, Wiggins, Porter. 26, 27, 29, 30, 25, 30. We're talking about 6 guys within 5% of each other, everybody 25 to 30%. And that's exactly how I see it. I don't think anybody stands out. I don't think anybody looks bad in that group. They just look like guys and filler in the lineup for today. It's a great matchup against Memphis. You get a big time pace up spot for Golden State, but you want to pick any guy or any 2 guys, or honestly, any 3 guys from a combination of the Warriors. I think you can pick any 3 of those 6 in any order, however you want to put it together, and it works. I don't have any real separation here.
Wiggins is a tough one, man, because his price has come down a ton, but his usage is through the floor. It's crazy how I meant to look up his usage rate in this series. And then last game, did you see the rotation to close that game out? I'm assuming it was just a hot hand thing with Gary Payton Jr., but Wiggins didn't close.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure that is like a long-term.
Me neither, but it's worth talking about.
It is. I mean, like, he kind of did.
Yeah. Yes. And no. Yeah. The
Look,
final one.
I would have expected him to play a little bit more in the fourth. Let's be clear.
Yeah. Like, Peyton played 15 straight minutes.
A lot of that probably has to do with who's out on the floor too.
With what?
Like, I wanted to say that it's a matchup thing, but I don't even know that it is. It's something you have to pay attention to with Wiggins because they will clearly do it if they need to. I think you assume that Andrew Wiggins is closing for the Warriors every day.
I agree.
But like, let's say you expect him to just normally play 34 minutes. I think we've introduced enough to say that should be 32 and 2 extra minutes should be going somewhere else.
Agreed.
And that's exactly where I have him, 32 minutes.
Ross makes a good point, though. Why would you fade Wiggins? He started the All-Star game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I hadn't actually thought about that. Okay. Yeah, don't do it. He's joking, by the way. I'm certain that Ross is being facetious there.
It's even better if he's not.
I can appreciate it. The minutes, though, outside of this, that you said you had 6 guys getting 20 plus. Is that what you said? 20 plus minutes?
Correct.
Okay. And then the only non-starter getting 20, I think was Otto Porter, you said? So I was reading chat. I was trying. Okay. Kevon Looney got 22 last game. I'm just looking at the rest of this. I mean, Gary Payton got 26. Not to say at all that that's going to be the case again today, but do you think it's still possible, based on what we're talking about with Wiggins and potentially elsewhere, that maybe Looney or Payton do get, low 20s in minutes?
I think someone is going to get into the low 20s, whether that's Payton, Looney, Kuminga. Bjelica didn't play in that final game, but if they bring him back into the rotation, I think someone could. I don't have a great feeling on which one of those guys it would be. This isn't a series where I would expect Kevon Looney to be playing, north of 20 minutes. It doesn't feel like he fits it totally. I think we probably see it a little bit more like we did in the past series, but maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm going to anybody, though, I think Looney would be the guy that I would want to take the shot on. 3,100 today. He's also the most owned guy, but I don't really have much of a pick. I would want to take outside shots on Payton and Looney because I think they can get up into the 20s and that would work at their price tags. Agreed.
And Payton's the type of guy, we saw it last game. Payton's the type of guy that we talked about this last week where I was like, hey, maybe Bones Highland ends up injecting some much needed offense into a desperate Nuggets team one of these games, and they stick with him a little bit longer. It's totally like you're just completely guessing, but if you're looking at, is this a rotation where maybe that helps? Sure. And we saw that with Payton. Didn't he have 10 points in the fourth quarter last game?
I think so.
Yeah. He had 10 points in the fourth quarter. So yeah. You're not projecting for that, but can these guys stay out there? Yeah. I saw Jordan Klein, a wonderful producer extraordinaire, say, just smashed a 5 espresso shot Americano. I'm absolutely wild. And when I looked up, Josh, to see his screen, it was just like the eyes, the wired eyes that were very much suggesting that he's not lying. What's a 5 espresso shot? You're saying you took 5 shots of espresso?
Yeah.
Americano is like espresso and water, basically. That's all an Americano
Never had
is.
it.
Yeah. Like every other coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, all coffee is mostly water.
Yeah, but it's just espresso and water. Yeah, that's really it. But it was 5 shots.
Espresso.
Yeah. But
so how much caffeine?
I don't fucking know.
Well, a normal cup of coffee is like 100, 110 milligrams of caffeine. I don't know how much espresso is. Josh, are you an espresso drinker?
I'm an any coffee drinker.
Okay. Black?
I will. I don't care.
Okay.
I don't prefer it that way. I don't think it's as good. Fat molecules allow different tastes to get to your tongue. So I believe in adding some sort of cream. I don't really need sugar, but the lightest amount will help as well.
Gotcha.
Both of those things improve both of them.
I've just been doing like real small cups of strong coffee, black, knock them back real quick so I can get going because I'm not really much for the taste. So this is just instead of doing narcotics in the morning, you do coffee, which is far less exciting, but at least it wakes you up.
Absolutely.
Grizzlies.
Yeah, let's talk about the Grizzlies and how chat is stupid once again.
All right.
Can't play Jaren Jackson Jr. He's going to get into foul trouble. By the way, we had the conversation on Friday. Do you know who was in the optimal lineup in the Memphis game at
Jaren
captain?
Jackson was good. He was good.
Certainly was. He was the optimal captain on DK on Friday.
34 minutes. You were right. Yeah.
How did he do that? I don't understand. It makes no sense. He just has to have 5 fouls in the first half and play 22 minutes. It doesn't make any. What will we do? Who could have possibly seen this coming? Oh, actually, wait, go back to the audio from Friday where I explained all of it.
It's actually kind of funny because you and I had slightly different opinions, but both of what we said came to fruition in different ways. Because I was talking about the potential that you just see Xavier Tillman's minutes, curtailed even more to around 11 or 12. He played, I think, like 11 and a half minutes. To where you might maybe still get the Jaren Jackson minutes, which we did, and then also still get the Brandon Clark minutes. Brandon Clark still played 33 in a game that Jaren Jackson played 34. That to me was the most interesting thing, and tell me if you disagree, but to me, the most interesting takeaway from that game was Tyus Jones still got 26 minutes. But so did Brandon Clark getting 33 and Jaren Jackson playing by far the most minutes he's played all series, closed alongside. Did you see the closing lineup?
Mm-hmm. I certainly did. I watched the game. So,
okay. But for anyone that doesn't know, John Morant, and another competitive game where I told you guys, bet Minnesota first quarter money line and then Memphis money line. Minnesota they should have won this. I mean, they can't hold. They blew 3 double-digit leads and lost all 3 of those games. Inexcusable.
It's nuts. Anyway, it's truly nuts.
It's inexcusable. In the postseason, are you kidding me? 2 of them were in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, Tyus Jones probably wasn't closing if Dylan Brooks didn't foul out. But
I agree. But what I'm saying is they still had no problem closing because we saw a different closing lineup last game when Jaren Jackson fouled out. So I think, presumably, given that no one fouls out, let's just say, you're getting John Morant, Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, Brandon Clark, Jaren Jackson as your closing lineup.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's what I would expect. Look, I would not be surprised if Brandon Clark isn't closing in this series. Like, it's Brandon Clark. We got to remember who Brandon Clark is and the role that he has on Memphis and the specific role that he played in this Minnesota series. I would not be surprised to see Brandon Clark's minutes curtailed a little bit and see someone else play a little bit more. That would not shock me. I have Brandon Clark in for 32 minutes today. I think he looks exceptional. I think he's the best play on DraftKings today. But we need to be prepared for a different series and a different rotation. If Brandon Clark plays 26 minutes today, I don't think that anybody should be shocked by that outcome.
Who would benefit? Who would be the player taking those minutes away from Brandon Clark?
It wouldn't shock me at all if we saw more Tillman. I think that would be reasonable.
But why?
In this series?
I don't see why it would be reasonable even a little bit. Tell me why. I'm curious.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was out there defensively if they had to. Look, I'm still giving, like, Clark's the first guy up for me now. But everything changes on a new series. I think Jaren Jackson is more likely to be on the floor for this series than he was for the previous series. I think that he's just naturally going to fit this series a little bit better than he did in the series against Minnesota. We shall see. But it's not like he has to bang against a high-end center in this one. It's Draymond Green. It's Kevon Looney. It should just be a little bit different. Golden State was 23rd in the league in free throw rate this year. That is important. They're not getting fouled as much, which means that Jaren Jackson is likely to be on the floor more. They want Jaren Jackson to play 30-something minutes. Every single time they step on the floor in the playoffs, the goal is for Jaren Jackson to play 30-plus minutes. They've got to come from somewhere. Whether they come from Tillman, whether they come from Clark, whether they come from Zaire Williams or something, I don't know. The goal is Jaren Jackson being out there for 30-plus minutes. That is how Memphis moves forward in this series. I gave Jaren Jackson 28 minutes, but he's much more likely to be on the floor in this series than he was against Minnesota.
Sure. I just still think that the casualty is Xavier Tillman, and then assuming that Dylan Brooks is not in foul trouble, Tyus Jones. That's we just see this one a little bit differently. I get that you're just saying there's a possibility Brandon Clark loses those minutes, and of course there is. But if you're telling me that Jackson played 34 and Clark still played 33 last game, that's really significant.
Yeah, look, with Steven Adams officially out, like we know he's not coming into the rotation again. If Zaire Williams happens to be questionable, like we could also see DeAnthony Melton get back in here, where Melton might fit a little bit more for Memphis against a team that's going to play Steph and Clay and Jordan Poole and these smaller guys regular minutes. You know, when they go to a Draymond at the 5 type lineup, Memphis can get away with going smaller in those scenarios. You can get more offense out on the floor if you need to. If you do that, can you get away with Morant, Bane, or Morant, Jones, Bane, Brooks at the 4, which we saw a little bit in that Minnesota series, and then Jaren Jackson at the 5? Absolutely. I think that's a reasonable closing lineup for the Memphis Grizzlies in this series.
Well, so do I. And
which again, that means Brandon Clark is not closing and not playing 30 minutes.
Yeah, Brandon Clark's 6'8". It's not like he's, some hulking big man, right? He's just you're going to get a lot of energy out of Brandon Clark. You're going to get a lot of rebounds. And he has played extraordinarily well in this series. I'm not just talking fantasy points. Like the offensive rebounds you and I talked about, didn't you say he had 6 in the fourth quarter of that come from behind win in game 5?
He did.
Like 6 boards. He has 4, 3, and 5 assists over his last 3 games. He's getting shots. He's getting blocks. Like defensively and on the offensive glass, which is so valuable. He's been really good. So I think you can at least continue to project Brandon Clark for considerable minutes in this game. And I don't think the price point is bad. Like 6,100 is not that expensive for a guy that you're projecting for 30 plus minutes in the front court. And basically him, Morant, Brooks, and Bane are all getting around within 5% of each other in terms of ownership on DraftKings.
I'm just nervous he's not out there in the closing lineup and they go small.
But that's not what I'm saying. Is it's not like that's a big lineup.
I think they might have to go 5 out and have just Jaren Jackson as the big. We saw them do it against Minnesota.
It's totally possible against Golden State. It is. I don't think we're even disagreeing on this. I maybe think it's a little bit less likely than you do. It also is going to depend on how these games are going. That's the problem. We can say
especially if they're behind, then I think they're trying to go 5 out. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like I'm not trying to cop out here, but if it's a very close game or they have a lead, then they're not. I don't see why they would try and change things up. But yeah, if they need points in bunches and they're not going to be getting them around the basket, sure, you just get more perimeter guys out there. How many minutes?
That's what's fascinating about going to a new series. Like you just
for sure. Oh, for sure.
Everything changes.
Absolutely. We're going to see some rotations for guys that, certain teams, it's going to be pretty cut and dry. But would I be shocked at all if Bobby Portis ends up playing less minutes in this series because you don't want a bigger front court out there? You don't know. I wouldn't be shocked by that at all. It's just, we don't know. There are some spots that we're going to have to pay close attention to. Let me hit these super chats real quick, Josh.
Yeah.
We had, where is it? I know Jordan just sent it.
Before you get to it, Minnesota, 29th in defensive rebounding rate during the regular season. Part of the reason you saw Brandon Clark just beating the living shit out of Minnesota over and over again. Golden State, 10th. Different rebounding matchup changes the scope for Brandon Clark a little bit too. I'm not trying to rally against Brandon Clark here. He was my number 1 contender on DK. I need to be very specific that I think he looks fantastic at 32 minutes.
Oh, was he your number 1? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't want it to sound like I have him in for 32 minutes. I think he's fantastic at 32 minutes, but I think there is a very, very visible downside to his minutes today.
Sure, that's fine. I just don't think Tillman's the guy that benefits. If anything, it's probably Tyus, in my opinion. If with them just going full out small, like you were talking about.
Tyus, Kyle Anderson. But what's going to be really big is whether or not Zaire Williams is healthy.
Yeah, or if Melton re-enters the rotation.
I'd be shocked if he doesn't.
Corey Randall, in a $20 winner-take-all draft tournament on DraftKings, would you play Jared Jackson Jr. Would you play Jaren Jackson Jr. or Brandon Clark together, and Brandon Clark together? I think you absolutely can. I mean, yeah, they played 33 plus minutes, both of them alongside and a lot of minutes alongside each other last game. Josh and I just presented the possible risks, but I don't know, dude. I don't think it's crazy if you wanted to play those two guys together.
I think it's more interesting to do in a winner-take-all tournament where most people will think to themselves, this is not what I should do.
Not
and I think that zag helps because it's first or bust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Doing the same thing as everyone else, you might get first and tie it with yeah.
You need 70. I have it at 7. You need 70 fantasy points between the two to be like, yep, that worked.
So last game, just throwing this out there, it's only one game, but last game you got over 90 between the two. So yeah, they can give you 70 for sure. 35 and 35, 40 and 30. Yeah, no question. It's doable. And second super chat, Josh, these hours always go quick.
They do.
Jeff Williams, will you please rank Holiday, Curry, and Morant for a high dollar single entry tournament on DraftKings as far as point per dollar and priority? Thanks for all you do. Thanks, Jeff.
That would be
Holiday, Curry, Morant, and okay, yeah, it was those three.
Holiday, Curry, Morant. I would
Portis is starting, by the way. We got that a while ago, but just the same lineup.
I think these guys are about as close as it gets, but I would go Curry, Morant, Holiday.
Curry, Morant, Holiday. All right. Anything else for Memphis before we flip this on over live before lock? Yeah, EMac, Eric Lindquist coming up next. And NASCAR live before lock at 2 p.m.
No, that's it for me. I wish that I could watch these games, but I can't. You'll get me back in the old childhood bedroom starting tomorrow for some contenders videos, but I'm about to hit the road.
That made me uncomfortable.
What? Why?
Was nothing. You got contenders tomorrow. What else?
That's it.
Shout out to Jordan Klein, as always, for producing this show. Follow Josh at Josh Engleman, me at Laffy_D. Eric and Eric coming up next. Josh, have a safe drive, man.
Thank you. It's not it, by the way. It's you and me on the deeper dive tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then Greg and me are on strategy show. Adam's still in Vegas. I'm not sure he even makes it back at this point.
Yeah, I guess the boss man was in Vegas too. From what I'm seeing, those two guys are having very different weekends.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Per the messages we get from Adam in our thread and pictures I saw of Alex going to a Lady Gaga concert.
Oh, was he at a Lady Gaga concert?
I think him and the wife went to Lady Gaga.
All right. Well, we'll see you back here tomorrow. Good luck today, guys. Peace.
the mic's hot. Oh, it's more fun when they're hot. Like my wife.
What the fuck?
All right, Awesemo, here we go. Dad jokes, 1 for EMac, none for Eric Lindquist. We'll talk about some Pirates. We'll talk about some Ducks. We're going to have some fun. We're going to compare Vin Scully stories, I think, if we get enough likes here. Hit that like button as we get on in. I can't believe Josh didn't give us at least 500 likes to start out with. He slacks on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I asked him why, and he said, well, after creating this stuff all week, Sunday's my day of rest.
Oh, that's fair enough.
It's a hubris on that guy. I don't know.
Yeah, look at him. He's funny sometimes. Only sometimes.
All right, just a few every now and then. So we've got a 90-minute show. We are sponsored by PrizePicks. We're going to go an extra 30 minutes with them. We're going to talk a little basketball right now. We're going to see if I get to do a filibuster again towards the end of the show.
No, I got you. I'll be okay today. Yeah, I think I got it. Are you
sure? Because I've almost finished my MLB lineups.
Yeah, me too.
But I haven't done my NBA yet, so I'm going to have to work on those. And I want to get in some PrizePicks. So let's talk about PrizePicks real quick. If you guys sign up, use the promo code Awesemo. When you make your first deposit, they will match you up to $100. Those funds come out of your account first. Very good deal. They're constantly offering fun deals for their users. 2 days ago, they gave everybody who was an existing user a $100 deposit match. That was fun. And then yesterday, they had special payouts. So if you did a 5 for 5, normally that's their flex payout, which is if you get 4 right, you double up your money. If you get 5 right, you 10x it. They upped that to 13x. I played a lot yesterday.
Me too.
Mr. Lindquist. Yeah. Did you dabble on PrizePicks as well yesterday?
Yeah, I had a couple sweats. But luckily, my big stand was the 2-man of Kershaw and Berrios. I like the under of 5.5 strikeouts. He finished with 5. The over for Kershaw hit in like the first 4 innings. He had the record-setting number there for the Dodgers. He's now the Dodgers all-time leading strikeouts guy. Good stuff. Good times was had by all. What wasn't fun is Robbie Ray went back to just being a god. So that was unfortunate. I took the under of 6.5, and that was over in like the 4th inning.
Oh,
it was
rookie.
Silly.
You had to take the under on his fantasy points because you get the negatives for runs and I think walks.
Look at that. Jordan Klein's upset at me now because we were exchanging picks. We were PP loaning people back and forth. PrizePicks for those kind of keeping track at home. See, yeah, he's upset at me. So yeah, fantasy score would have been the sharp guy. Luckily, we have EMac here today. That sure helps us make money yesterday. Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't, is what Jordan's saying. He said, I love you. That's cool.
Helped me. It was a lot of fun. All right. Well, let's get into the slate here.
If anybody says Nas Reed during this show, I swear to God, stop it.
Was he,
everybody
did he
already?
Was he even in? He wasn't even at the arena, was he? Was that ever confirmed? I'm not trying to troll. This was, it goes back to poor reporting. It was sort of like when, about 4 or 5 seasons ago when Derrick Rose was playing for the first go round with the Knicks and he got pissed and flew to Chicago and nobody reported that he wasn't in the layup line. And then all of a sudden the starting lineup came out and they're like, oh, shit. Derrick Rose isn't even here.
That's why I like Toronto for baseball and basketball. It's like you get news because everybody's paying attention to it when you're traveling across the border right now because there's only certain people who can. So shout out to Canada. That's definitely the best part. We're gonna miss you this time around. We're gonna miss you.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's sad. No more Fred Van Elite fan club. So sad. But let's we're going to kind of hit each of these games because we're starting new series. And when you get new series, you get new rotations, which is very, very important for the bench guys or those fringe starters. Situationally, the matchups have changed. It's perhaps Jaren Jackson Jr. won't need to foul a gazillion times a game, which in turn could increase his minutes by a couple and potentially decrease Brandon Clark. We still have Steven Adams out. He's in the health and safety protocol. He was played off the court in the last series, but that doesn't mean he won't come back in this one because essentially it's Kevon Looney and Draymond Green and then whomever else is masquerading as the 5, potentially Otto Porter in this one. The other series that is starting off, let me get to my notes here. The rest is important in this one as well. So the Boston swept. So they played last Monday. So they should be relatively well rested. However, Milwaukee finished up their series on Wednesday, so they've got had some time off as well. Minnesota took that to Game 6 in that series, so Memphis played on Friday. However, Golden State last played on Wednesday, so Memphis is the only one with a quick turnaround because it's less than 48 hours since they had that last game. And then the injuries, the only real ones of note: Chris Middleton out for this series, dealing with a knee issue. George Hill's still out with an abdominal issue. And today, Andre Iguodala is out for Golden State. That means you have secure minutes for Otto Porter, probably in the 20 to 24 range. Otto Porter, what happens when he plays more than 24 minutes? Jordan
He does
Klein?
good stuff.
No, medical maladies have the revenge on Otto Porter if he plays more than 24 minutes.
Gotcha.
So you have to be careful.
Got it. Well, he's still going to project out decently well. Are you hardwired? Jordan Klein really needs to know.
Nope, but now I am.
What a time to be alive. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Jordan always knows.
Yeah, I mean, the one that really stood out for me was Milwaukee when it stuttered.
Hey, it sounded good to me.
Yeah, I loved it. But yeah, don't forget, I think we have Zaire Williams. He's questionable as well. I think that might actually matter because you have certain guys like Melton, certain guys. We saw John Conchar play almost 10 minutes in the Game 6 last time around. Again, on a 2-game slate, every little bit of news matters. Steven Adams continues to be out. So be on the lookout for Zaire Williams. Maybe you can get something completely crazy as an outlet like a Melton at 3K, John Conchar, something like that. If you're completely dead and you're trying to pivot onto something that could end up live, I doubt they're going to matter for a 2-gamer, but everybody matters for a showdown, especially. So I'll be paying attention to that news for showdown purposes.
So let's look at the first game kind of with the showdown. Well, so the 2-game slate, I don't really want to go too heavy on this first game. I think I would guess 2 or 3 players. I'm not going to set any limits, but based upon how my player pool is coming out, I'm guessing I'm only going to get 2 or 3 players, and I'm just playing on DraftKings today from this first game. The rest of mine are going to come from that later game. But if you start to break it down from just a single game perspective here with this first one, is there anything that you want to call out in particular?
Yeah, you and I went back and forth a little bit last night about it, and it's just Giannis. We talked about Giannis, and he's by far the guy that I want to pay up for the absolute most on both sites today. There's just such a large opportunity for him to play so many more minutes than what he played last series. Chicago is a joke. They were not good at the end of last season. Lonzo Ball was really great to watch in this offense. I mean, defensively, him and Alex Caruso were a great force at the beginning of the season. Once Lonzo Ball disappeared, so did any hope of Chicago getting out of the first round. We're going to see Giannis play an increased workload. They are the dogs in this series, and something tells me that matters to a guy like Giannis. And you can basically say that, the Celtics defensively, they're going to slow. How do you slow down Giannis? He's the one guy you just cannot flat out slow down, period, in this series. He's a guy that at 42.5% on DK, I'm going to be taking an aggressive overweight stand. I mean, I project him out to have more fantasy points by 9 than anybody else. John Morant, I have at 51 fantasy points. Jason Tatum at 51. But Giannis is over 60. I feel pretty confident that he's a guy that I just want to make way for, because in a competitive series, they're 5-point dogs. You're going to see Giannis get pushed to 36, 38 minutes minimum in some of these spots. That is drastically different than 29 and 30, which we've seen 2 of his last 3 games.
So here's the notes I have for Giannis. So in the 3 games that he played against Boston in the regular season, he averaged still elite, but just 1.53 fantasy points per minute. So the perfect comparator, I think, for him to see what he can do against this offense is Kevin Durant. Who they just saw in the last series. Now, Giannis doesn't have the same, he may have about as effective of an outside shot as Durant did in that last series as his baseline, but he's going to be doing more of his work going towards the rim. Obviously, Time Lord Robert Williams is back. That's really going to boost the defenses there for Boston. But just if we kind of say, let's look at a baseline here. So Durant averaged 44 minutes in those games, that buoyed by 47 and change that he had in the final game. But you said 38. I think 38 38-39 is a reasonable expectation for Giannis without Middleton here. It's a new series, etc. But Durant had 26 points, 6 boards, 6 assists, 1.3 combined blocks and steals. I think those categories, the rebounds are probably higher for Giannis. This is probably lower, but it's essentially going to be similar raw numbers. So I think that's a reasonable projection. I think he's going to be has the highest raw projection of the slate. But what do you think about Coach Udoka? What is he going to do here to neutralize Giannis?
I don't think you can. I really, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic or anything, but I mean, Giannis come playoff time as a 5-point dog in this spot. Somebody else from Milwaukee is going to have a massive game in order for them to be competitive in Boston, in these Boston games. And I think Drew Holiday is obviously capable. We'll see what they can get out of Bobby Portis in this starting rotation as well. I think Udoka, it just comes down to, for him, how many minutes can you possibly get out of Robert Williams? Because there's such a different team when he's able to play 24 plus minutes here going forward. And I think there's such a wide range of outcomes. I could legitimately see Robert Williams playing 20 or 28 minutes. They said around the 24-ish range, but that doesn't really mean anything to me. It feels like, unless it's a hard cap, unless they were to just say, I mean, they're basically ballparking how good he's going to feel there. I think he's the one guy that can maybe slow down Giannis to some capacity. But Grant Williams, a bigger body dude, he's just too slow. There's just no chance. Al Horford, he's great defensively against normal larger dudes. This is not a normal larger dude. Like, Giannis is such an outlier in terms of his ball handling ability. He brings just a different body and frame than what Kevin Durant has. It's just going to be impossible for them to slow him down. Now, the thing that can happen, and I think Giannis has to be very careful of, he could get in foul trouble, or you could just see this game get really, really sideways, and then you're probably in trouble. Like, for me, that's the path to Giannis failing and putting up less than 55, 60 fantasy points in this spot, is basically him putting his head down, getting those charges. He had just too many stupid fouls in that Chicago series. But part of that was they were up 15 and 20 at certain times. He was driving and just, creating and making things happen. He has to be very aware of not doing that against this Boston team. They're too good defensively. They're too stout in that regard. So as long as he avoids those stupid charges that we saw throughout that Chicago series, there's no way that I'm not going to just see Giannis smashing here today.
All right. Secondary options there. Bobby Portis, tougher interior defense here. You've got going against the Celtics. You have Drew Holiday as the secondary guy. You've got the interchangeable parts of Pat Connaughton and Grayson Allen. It seems like over the last 4 games, at least one of them has been the best shooter in the world from beyond the arc.
It's a great point.
That's happening.
Yeah, that's a great point. Fucking Grayson Allen.
Well, Grayson had 3 amazing games where basically he was shooting 60 or 70%, and then Pat Connaughton in the last game said, "Hold my beer. Let me show you I can do this."
I'm going to literally have 0 Grayson Allen today, so just write him in for 6 for 8 from 3 again. So best of luck. I have 150 lineups on FanDuel. I have 40 on DK. I'm going to have 0 Grayson Allen.
And I think there's nothing wrong with that. That's probably around where I'm going to land as well, unless I consciously pick some lineups that have him in it. I don't see it happening otherwise.
I'd rather play Wesley Matthews just as a price savings guy for 1,300 less on DK. On FanDuel, Grayson Allen is 5,600. Marcus Smart, this is going to be different for him. It's going to be problematic. I mean, obviously Drew Holiday, Marcus Smart are going to match up a lot here, but defensively, there's just so many things with Jaylen Brown, so many things where I just don't find any opportunity for Grayson Allen to go nuts here. Like, if he burns me and goes completely bonkers again, he burns me, but I'll live with it.
All right. Over under Wesley Matthews points versus his fantasy points.
Say that again. Wesley
Matthews. Oh, not over, head to head. Which is higher? Wesley Matthews NBA points or his fantasy points?
I'm
he can
confused
go
by the
negative
question.
He can go negative for turnovers, and all he's going to do is score. He's Wesley Matthews.
Yeah, I know but it's a price savings thing. A guy who's going to be on the floor for a lot of minutes. I mean, we have him projected for 29 minutes here. Again, you can always run into some stocks. You can always find ways to have 3,500 pay off. I mean, 3,400 Gary Payton's probably the cheapest that I'm going to be going in any kind of a meaningful way on this slate. I talked about the opportunity that we have to maybe roster one of those Memphis guys. specifically if a Melton or a Conchar can show up. I would need to see Zaire Williams out. Obviously Steven Adams continues to be out, even though he wouldn't probably be a part of this rotation, which is crazy to say after all the headaches we had in the regular season with Steven Adams. But I feel pretty good that 3,400 Gary Payton's like as thin as you really need to get.
All right. How are you feeling about Marcus Smart, who
fantastic
suddenly can do all sorts of things?
So obviously Drew Holiday is a monster, and Drew Holiday is a great defensive player, but I feel like him and Jaylen Brown are going to be two guys that I'd make pretty aggressive stands on at the beginning of this series, and we'll see kind of where they land. Feels like 30-something%. I mean, I think Marcus Smart is probably, just because of his defensive prowess, because of the ability he has to get counting stats, in addition to, he always thinks he's the best shooter on the floor, which is just funny to watch sometimes. I'm like, you have Jason Tatum on your team, but you're going out and chucking it 15, 16 times the last 2 games. Did Marcus Smart 6,200. I just think he's a great source of value for DraftKings purposes. I'm going to have a lot of him. I don't really factor in the individual defense of Drew Holiday in this spot. I mean, he's going to have to do a lot of team concept stuff. They're going to have to really try to slow down Jason Tatum as much as they possibly can. I do think Tatum and Giannis are pretty unstoppable because of what they offer defensively here, what they offer offensively, but defensively, yeah, Marcus Smart is going to have some difficult assignments here trying to slow down Drew Holiday. But like, I feel pretty confident that the price 6,300 on FanDuel, 6,200 on DK just tells me I need to play lots of him.
All right. Uploading my MLB lineups right now.
You saw Wander Franco got scratched, right?
No, did he really?
Yeah, he did. So I just wanted to let you know in case you didn't notice that. Jordan Klein has the Tampa Bay Rays hat out there. So yeah, no, F your life.
Yeah, what is this? What
back
is
to
this
the
Jordan
drawing
Klein
board.
Jinx. Didn't Choi go on the DL today? I wrote up the Rays as my stack of the day for Yahoo. But apparently their lineup I thought we were going to see, we're not seeing it today. Oh.
It's okay. 1.4K people hanging out here talking NBA. Obviously, MLB is locking here in 45 minutes, and EMac and I are a part of those streets. So if you guys want to ask stuff, Kyle Lowry ruled out. Okay, there we go. And Joel Embiid going to return for game 3. Okay, he's hoping to return game 3. So he's going to miss both Miami games. They probably weren't going to win those anyway. Rest up. Try to put your hand in a bucket of ice for a week, and then maybe he's good to go at home and they can try to sneak one out there.
17% of my lineups had Wander Franco.
You should have 0% now, EMac. That's what I believe.
This is just, it's not.
I knew I was really good at
I think I just run the lineups all again from scratch.
Yeah, I think you do. 17% is a lot to try to revamp. And I mean, I think I talked about this with Terry last year, where I was just like, you should just do those individual hitters so you can do a one-man stack situation on Fantasy Cruncher. And I find it to just be so valuable to be able to do that. Just take Wander Franco out of that, remove like 8-9 hitters and do that direction. Just get your one-offs and have them actually be competent.
Yeah, no, we'll just run these again. I got everything else set up, so
okay.
It shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, you're fine.
And now that I'm plugged in on my
it is day and night. It's funny how that works, because sometimes I'll accidentally, nobody gives a shit in chat, I apologize, but sometimes you keep your Wi-Fi on accident and it keeps direct to that as opposed to going to the cable where we plug in, because again, we're trying to give you the best content and clean presentational as possible, even if Jordan Klein is terrible at his job. Hey Jordan, how you doing?
I didn't realize this was Pick on Jordan Day. I would have brought
it
some
is.
different
It's Pick
material.
on Jordan week.
Oh, nice. Start of the month, May Day. There we go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
all right.
It's going to be May.
Oh, Justin Timberlake. Even I got that one.
Everything I do is good and ain't good enough for you or some shit. I don't know.
Something along those lines. All right. Everyone said, so they were asking Poole or Bane as last person in, and chat says, I was the only one that said, I typed the answer, and I was the only one that said Poole. Everybody else said Bane. Where do you stand on that?
Do I have to pick just one? Can I not play them both? Is that mutually exclusive? I mean, Desmond Bane is going to play more minutes than Jordan Poole. He has, identical fantasy rates. You're going to see Steph Curry just continue to cut into Jordan Poole's allotment, but I have them projected within 0.2 of each other. So like, I'm going to get to around the exact same amount. you can play them both at shooting guard, which obviously opens that up. Jordan Poole, you can play point guard or shooting guard. So that's one extra spot he can fit into. I find them to be almost identical plays. I can't find any differentiation here at Awesemo. We have them within 0.25 of each other. Yeah, I'm going to play over 30% of both of them, and that's just fine by me.
All right. I wanted to ask you one more question here. We didn't for Jason Tatum. So Tatum, the one thing that just infuriates me when I look to him is he just doesn't get the rebounds when we want them. So this year I had some fun. I said Tatum is third all time among former Duke players, because I knew I was doing this show with you. Third all time among former Duke players in the NBA currently with 20.9 points per game and just inside the top 10 with 6.6 rebounds per game. Or I guess that's all-time Duke players. However, he just is not consistent from a rebounding perspective. Does that dampen your enthusiasm for him at all?
No, because it's priced in. Again, he's 9,400. He's got just the supreme path to usage you wouldn't possibly believe. He's 45 minutes in what was that game 3 against Brooklyn, game 4, 36, but they didn't really have to put the gas down with him as much. He was in foul trouble for most of that. But I'm looking at, game 1, we're looking at just such a massive allotment of minutes. We're looking at a 1.31 DraftKings points per minute player on the season. We're looking at a competitive series here. It checks a lot of boxes. 9,400. I already said Giannis is my favorite guy to get up to, but Jason Tatum in this same game is number 2 for me. I think I'm probably not going to get to as much simply because of how much Jaylen Brown allows me to get. That last player in allows me to just get so many other guys. I prefer Jason Tatum, though, over Ja Morant at near numbers in identical type of situations here. I mean, they're both kind of about the exact same projection here. I would rather just ride with Jason Tatum. Eventually, we're going to see Dillon Brooks start to play some serious basketball, and that's going to cut into both Desmond Bane and Ja Morant. Dillon Brooks was kind of a non-factor throughout that entire series until the last game out. Finally, 9 for 19, 5 for 6 from 3. We saw a proficient shooting game. That's the kind of thing Dillon Brooks is going to do from time to time. And more so than not during the regular season, that really dampened Ja Morant's outlook. So I think Jason Tatum, I prioritize over a guy like Ja, obviously different positions, but about identical tags on DK. And then Jaylen Brown, I said, Marcus Smart and him, I'm just going to be taking an aggressive stance at the beginning of the series, just because I think the path that they have to more usage.
An infant in your lap may dampen your spirits.
What?
Well, you said the word dampen, and that's what I thought of. So the old saying, you're holding the baby, you may pee.
That is an old saying, because I have never heard such dampening mood breaker things before. Oh my God. You've dampened the spirits of this show is what you've done.
Oh, then watch me put it on life support. Almost 1,500 people watching, and we don't have 500 likes. Time to do some ad reads to inspire everybody to hit the like button.
Hit the like button, people.
Did you know that you can get access to nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo Plus subscription package? $29.95 for the week. Includes everything: player projections, ownership projections, the boom bust tool, the lineup tool, and so much more. Of course, if you're only looking for NBA DFS, you can get the Awesemo Weekly Express package for as low as $4.95 a week. The nice thing about that, grants you access to Discord. When you're in Discord, you can go to office hours. Pretty cool deal there. And that's something where you can pick the brain of such luminaries as who was in there? Jason Floyd talking MMA. You get Steve DeColt's Buzzard talking MMA, NBA, pretty much anything you want, short slates, how to approach bankroll, etc., and a variety of others. So that's probably our best deal out there. So let's get up to 550, 560 likes, or we'll have another read here in the next segment. All right, Eric, you know what rhymes with read? Nas.
Doesn't
that was
rhyme.
For chat. Nas Reed.
Yeah, but that doesn't rhyme. Reed and Nas do not rhyme.
Is that a trigger word for you? Is that why you're being difficult?
I'm just fine, EMac.
That was for you, chat. See, I give it, I take it away. There we are. All right. Next game, the second game on the slate. Did you know that how about this? If you're looking for a small sample size, How about Steph Curry this season against Memphis? Did you know he averaged 36 points with 5.7 made three-pointers, 7 rebounds, 7.3 assists, and 1.7 steals per game? Now, there's no guarantee that's going to happen today. Why? Because they'll play at a slightly slower pace. Defense matters a little bit more, and there will be different looks for Curry, but he does look mostly healthy. Should see a full complement of minutes tonight, and it is comforting to know that he has done well in this matchup before. Talk to me about head-to-head, Steph versus Ja.
So I think I would rather go to Steph Curry at 8,900 over on DK. I've already talked about how Ja Morant, Jason Tatum, I have projected about the same, but the huge difference is the small forward, power forward eligibility, having Giannis, Jason Tatum lock up some of these cheaper forward spots. And then, if you have an opportunity in tournaments, like if you're building out one lineup, I'm not going to blame you if you have a ton of Ja Morant. That doesn't matter. But Steph Curry is going under 30%. And Steph Curry, the minutes are only trending up for him here. People are worried about Jordan Poole cutting into that. I mean, we saw 35.1 and 37.9% usage the last 2 games with 37 and 38 minutes. You start getting up to that type of a workload in a competitive spot here too. They're only 2-point favorites at home. I think it makes a lot of sense. In Memphis. They're 2-point favorites in Memphis. I just feel like Steph Curry is the guy that you want to kind of prioritize. It's a $700 difference. And on a slate like this, that is massive when you're talking about the difference between having to scrape the floor of like 3K to 3,400, Gary Payton II really being the only guy. And then that upper 3K, lower 4K range on DK, where you have guys like Kyle Anderson, you have guys like Pat Connaughton, actual guys who are going to see some court time, Grant Williams even, guys who are going to play 24 plus minutes, who have a path to at least running into fantasy points, whereas below 3,400, that doesn't really exist.
All right. So
hang on, who do you prefer between the two?
Steph.
Yeah, I'm with
this
you.
one. Though on a site that's not sponsoring our show, I got a birthday ticket to enter a contest, and I chose head-to-head points.
You got a golden ticket.
Ja Morant, I think I got plus 2.5 points and going against Curry. We had them last night when I had to use the ticket. We had them reasonably similarly projected, but that's points only, right? Once you start to factor in fantasy points and other things, I think I'd still rather have Steph.
Yep. With you.
All righty. On to the rest of the options here. How much can we, how confident do you feel Brandon Clark continues to see around 30 minutes?
It depends. And I hate, this is the one discussion that I was just kind of waiting for today that I didn't want to have, but like Brandon Clark has played way more minutes in the postseason than the regular season. And obviously we are removing Steven Adams from the equation, but we have to think about what this matchup is with Golden State and how they're going to really set their lineup up. I got to expect we're just going to see Steph, Clay, Jordan Poole, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins be the starting lineup in this series, with Draymond playing that 5. And, it's not going to be a great spot going up against Draymond Green offensively for anybody, but even more so, Jaren Jackson Jr., we did see Greg was just dead on with his analysis of Jaren Jackson Jr. the other night, and the opportunity that created just by staying out of foul trouble. And anytime that he does stay out of foul trouble, you're going to see him start to eclipse that 30-minute mark. It's hard to project him for something like that. He has such a large range of outcomes, similar to what I was talking about with the Time Lord, but just in such a different way because it's not injury riddled. It's simply because Jaren Jackson Jr. hacks everybody. And so 20.2%, that feels like a guy you want to be overweight to, Jaren Jackson Jr. specifically. Brandon Clark, I think everybody's just jamming in such a strong, prominent way. 6,100, double machine. I don't really think we're going to see mid-30s out of him throughout this entire season. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it feels like Kyle Anderson could be somebody who shows up and fits well in like a small ball lineup for this team. And Kyle Anderson is really kind of the wild card for me today. I want to see what his minutes really look like. And, we saw Jaren Jackson Jr. and Brandon Clark share the floor a lot in that final Minnesota game, mainly because JJ kept his hands to himself. But Kyle Anderson feels like a guy who fits in so many different ways for this Memphis team on the defensive end, trying to scheme against a bunch of really incredible, if not the best shooters in the league in Golden State side. So I think I want to be a little bit lighter on Brandon Clark. I'm not going to be fading him by any means, but I feel like the ownership could be even more extreme than the 27.9% ownership we have on him.
All righty. That was Georgia Satellites, right? Little change in your pocket. Keep your hands to yourself.
I see.
Strong callback to a song.
I got that.
40
Keep
years
your
old
hands
now.
to yourself. That's like original country.
It's a long time ago.
I can't believe I understood that reference. I feel like I need to leave now.
It was like that just shows the popularity of that particular song.
Yep. Wedding ring. God, I hate you.
That song came out before you were born.
We still have another 56 minutes together. This is great. This is setting a good precedence.
Well, this will be fun because then we can remind everybody that they're towards the after when we get to lock. After lock, I'll do my Vin Scully story with you. So
I'm ready.
We don't want to do it before that because we got to keep our analysis going here. But reminder,
just tease the people with a Vin Scully story on an NBA stream for After Lock.
It's baseball, and
I know
it's
beautiful.
You'll like.
I'm ready.
It's going to work out well. But baseball, get those lineups in. You've got 30 minutes until lock. There, we have 25 minutes until lock for NBA. We're sponsored here by PrizePicks. They're a daily prop-based site that if you use the promo code Awesemo when you make your first deposit, they will match you up to $100. That also gets you 30 for days of Awesemo premium content because they'll send us your contact information. We will make T McBee, guy who just won $30,000 on Friday. We will make T McBee go into the system, create you a promo code and send it to you so you get those 30 free days. It's a lot of fun anytime we can make Terry do extra work. But there's no sharks, there's no optimizers, there's no mass entries. What? How does that happen? Well, we create player cards. We can do 2, 3, 4, or 5, I guess, prop cards, questions, 2, 3, 4, or 5. You do a 5 player lineup, you can net up to 10 times your entry fee. You can go cross sports, you can do same game. They now, they had first half and second half contests. They now have first quarter and fourth quarter contests here.
Let's go.
For people that live in the great state of California and do not have sports wagering, this is really close to sports wagering.
Yeah.
So I want to point that out for a handful of people that are on this show with us, both you and Jordan Klein. But you can use them on your computer, which I prefer, of course, or you can get them in the App Store or Google Play. But I like to go to PrizePicks.com. So we'll talk about some picks for them as we get a little closer to the end.
Yeah.
Here.
Hopefully you reacted. We got Time Lord starting, baby.
What does that? So they haven't played in a week. You had mentioned that he has, what was his soft minutes cap? Like 28?
24 was
24?
the number that I had heard.
Okay.
And again, it's just such a large, wide range of outcomes.
Yeah, it's coach speak, and it could end up being closer to 30, or he could come down, land in awkwardly, and just kind of tweak something, and it's going to be 20 minutes, right? So that's the part of it we don't know, but it's good that they've had the additional time off. It's nice to see him starting. And
we have him at 21 minutes right now. If he's starting, I'm going to definitely get to him
26.
quite a bit on FanDuel, 4,900. If I put him 24, 26. I had him a little bit higher, around 25. But again, this was just a spot where, they saved 24, and it's like I felt like that should have been a little bit lower. We saw 16 and 14 minutes in the 2 games against Brooklyn, but that's not indicative of what we'll see in this series, I don't think.
All right, I'm just looking to see if there's any update. Someone in chat was saying Celtics said nobody is on a minute. Yeah, the last news we have is from the other game. So I think educated guess, by the way, we'll see him go up 4 to 6 minutes from what we saw in the last one.
Yep.
So
agreed.
That's totally fine, and it gives him a little bit of an edge. But with him being in the starting lineup, that's also going to draw additional attention to him. So it's sort of a catch as catch can. Let's see, only 537. I said 550. So here we go. This will be fun. Did you know that coming up after us, we have NASCAR live before lock at 3:00, and then starting at 10 o'clock tomorrow, we have the NBA strategy show with Loughran and Greg. Then 11, the MLB strategy show with Terry and Eric. And then of course, we're going to get into the deeper dive live before lock for MLB, NBA, all that fun stuff. 2 NBA games tomorrow, starting some new series there. You also have the NHL playoffs. coming around the corner. So we are back in the swing of things. You can also join our Best Bets Discord. This is part of the Best Bets package. You can click the link below us here, and you can get access to the team of experts that use the Awesemo industry-leading projection models to identify their best bets available each day in NBA, MLB, and more. Today, Ben Ross, well, not just today, Ben Ross has been dropping hockey bets left and right. I did not realize he was a puck fan. Do you know if he watches the game, or does he just analyze the hell out of everything, like raindrops rolling down a window?
My favorite thing that Ben says, and again, if you haven't had a chance to check out some of the golf shows we do together, it's an absolute blast. The guy says the word Muppet, and I I just crack up every single time. Yes, crap up too. I don't know. It'd be interesting. But he's just like, those effing Muppets. I'm just like, I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, I'm just watching this hockey game on my other TV, and just nothing good is happening. Do you watch hockey? Not really, but I guess he's a Rangers fan or something. So yes, he's good people. Just fun to watch him live tilt sports.
It's good, and he usually likes to pick the more degenerate games. Including he will bet on soccer where you don't even get live scoring at all.
My favorite from that too was just like, this country, they got removed from FIFA because they were playing on sand pitches. It's like, you can't do that apparently. So they're banned from FIFA now. We should bet against them. It's great.
I'm just saying, Landon, please don't put things in chat that aren't true.
Okay. So hang on. So Landon, just time him out. If somebody's lying, again, Rob Williams, I'm looking for where that news came from. Somebody said it, but I didn't see it come through. Somebody said it in chat. If people are starting to lie in chat, we're going to have a problem because y'all get booted immediately. Yeah, I don't see a Boston starting lineup anywhere. There it is. Yeah, Smart, Tatum, Horford, Robert Williams. Yeah, we do. We got it. We're good. Just making sure.
I like doing a name search on Ja Morant and getting like 17 different languages of tweets that are not what I'm looking for.
Are you building your MLB lineups? What are you doing?
No, I'm looking to make sure that we had all the news we needed. My MLB lineups are good. I just have to export them.
Right.
No, I have my crunches and everything set up. I've got the winning lineups dialed in. You might want to unregister.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I love when I'm playing Miguel Andujar and Higashioka in just a ridiculous amount of lineups. That'll be nice to have 2 zeros to just chalk in right away. It's a good feeling.
I did not get as much Vogelbach as expected. I have 12%.
12% is a lot of Vogelbach against.
Hold on, that was one of the sub crunches. Let me move that into the final one that I'm going to upload. I have 5.5% of Vogelbach. That's
I'm actually looking for news. What are you talking about? Loco, I couldn't get it to pop up. My computer froze for a second. So that's all I'm saying is that it wouldn't up. I couldn't get Discord up. And then I saw it there. So I appreciate you. But there you go. Kayla McLean. Sorry if you've already done this, Eric. Just getting in any prize picks you like for the first one. Oh, my friend, you come to the right place because yesterday they had a really good promotion where you were basically getting boosted to go out and play here. If you go to oddshopper.com as well, you have an opportunity to find some really good plays for this first game. I really liked everything that had to do with Giannis. Talked about that in my group chat last night. Talked about that with you a little bit too, where I just think anything that has to do with Giannis, points plus rebounds plus assists, fantasy score, everything was just too low for a guy who's going to play more minutes in a competitive spot. 29.5. I like the over on his points. 48.5 is what his points plus rebounds plus assists is down to. It opened at 50.5 at a number of books, but yet it's 48.5 over at PrizePicks. So give me the over of that as well. Fantasy score, it's at 55. Just jam the over. We haven't projected on FanDuel, which is the comparable scoring, for 58.8. So, I mean, you're looking at a 3.8 fantasy point buffer there to take the over. Give me the over on all of those. I also like the over on Marcus Smart, 30 fantasy points, a guy who just is proficient in getting a lot of stocks, gives you a lot of opportunity in that regard from that first game too. And then later on, I think the under of Ja Morant, 8.5 assists makes a lot of sense. I feel like that's something that I've been playing quite a bit. over the course of the last month or so. You get a full strength team, and sure, Dylan Brooks shooting on the side. Once he started knocking down shots, you're going to see Ja Morant's assist totals start to spike back up. But you still have other creators, a lot of other guys out there. He went under that 8.5 number, I believe, 2 of the last 3. So we're looking at a spot where Desmond Bane out there, an amazing shooter, going to create some looks for Ja Morant, but still a pretty hefty number against a Golden State defense that I think more proficient than most.
All right, we do have a super chat here, and I think I just uploaded all of my MLB lineups, so I am good on that. But the super chat here is
MLB bet. Sorry, I have one MLB for PrizePicks too that I wanted to throw in because I forgot to throw that in. Just smash every single day the over on Corbin Burns. Corbin Burns is just free money every single time out. I believe. Oh, did they take it off the board? No, it's at 8. I still would take it. I hammered it at 7.5. It's at 8. I will still take the 8 on against the Cubs. This Cubs lineup is going to strike out at a ridiculous pace this season. Corbin Burns gets a lot of righties, more than he should in this spot. So Corbin Burns, 8 strikeouts seems like a crazy number. Probably lands on that 8 more than most. 7.5 would have been great, but even at 8, the guy is going to put up double-digit strikeouts more times than not this season. Just prepare yourself. I love the over of 8 strikeouts for Corbin Burns.
All right, we have, EMac is ancient. Tim D, that's correct. I just scrolled back and saw that. Core guys on DK for GPPs. This is a super chat from Eddie Saya.
All right, well, I'll tell you my guys that I have the most of here. DK. I have to refresh it. That's stupid. That's fine. Priority. I talked about Marcus Smart as a guy that I'm getting to a lot as a value piece. That naturally is going to get me to less Ja Morant. That's a point guard spot that I end up with a lot. In terms of value, it is really hard to understate how well Pat Connaughton fits into lineups, and it's not a comfortable roster. But I feel like if you're going to be playing a lot of these chalkier options, that he's a guy that I think just has to fit in sub 4K. It's him and Otto Porter are kind of your 2 value de jours, 3,900, 3,700. It makes sense to land on quite a bit of them, but I'm taking the honest Jason Tatum approach, and I'm also taking a Kyle Anderson stand where I just think he plays a little bit more in this series. I think that he could be a guy to chisel away some minutes from a little bit of everybody there. If there's no Zaire Williams, that makes me feel even better about it. So I'm making a tournament stand that is in no way a priority that you should be making for your cash games or anything else like that. But I'm trying to get a little bit different with him because I think there's some different opportunities that he could see some court time against this Golden State team. So slow-mo, that's a guy at 4,100 I feel pretty good about. And we'll see. Robert Williams, I'm curious where his ownership's going to get to. We put him up to 23 minutes now here at Awesemo, so it's just taking a slight bump up. But there's, again, a large range of outcomes for what that could be. So just be paying attention to it.
Okay. There we go. Got the dog bark. That's always a sign on shows that the dogs tend to know what we should be doing. Sounds like playing Robert Williams for that one. We have a Ben Rossa truther in the chat. We have multiple. I am also a Ben Rossa truther, but Ryan Nelson paid $199 to have that shout out there. So we'll give that to you. After it's EMac 2024, we got to wait for Ben to be old enough to qualify to be the president. To got to meet that pesky 35-year-old requirement. But I would like Ben as our president. He is.
I would love Ben as our president. I mean, not as much as I'd love Duke. Duke was out here. They've been doing construction on this roof for like a week and a half. And my wife's been in New York. He's actually been a phenomenal little guy, but he hasn't been feeling well. He just keeps. I wish they would just finish this shit already. It's Sunday at 9:47.
It's Sunday. Darren,
doesn't matter. If you got to fix a roof, you got to fix a roof, I guess.
Are you playing on the blue site today?
I'm playing on both sites for NBA. Yes. Okay.
Darren Unger would like to know on FanDuel, would you go with the pairing of Bane and Horford, or would you go with Jaylen Brown, and Grant Williams?
Oh, I mean, Grant Williams. He had that one game, and I think people are just over evaluating him. He's a 0.68 fantasy point per minute guy.
Games. He had 2 games. 2 bad, 1 really good, and 1 okay game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He had the 1 really sick game. I mean, he's been playing low 30s minutes for this basketball team the last 3 out. They definitely like him in this rotation. It's also nice because he's a guy who can get those stocks. But he had 3 blocks last game out. He had 2 blocks in game 2. So it's just a spot for me where I don't want to be landing on too much of him. So I probably will be a pass on the Grant Williams side of that.
Right. That is it. And I thought that would be your conflict, the internal turmoil there.
See, you know.
It was a good question because I'm not really thrilled to play Horford. I would rather get with the Jaylen Brown side, but then for exact reasons that you mentioned for Grant Williams, it's just sort of like he's the new wild card now that Robert Williams, no relation, is healthy. No, they don't play the exact same position, but the minutes trickle down effect, and Horford's going to be there. And Horford terrifies me because he doesn't always close, which can be frustrating at times as well. You play
if Robert Williams starts playing more minutes, it's really, really bad for Al Horford.
Yes.
So just be aware of that. Al Horford is a new man when he's playing the 5 from a DFS perspective. Obviously, it's really good for the Celtics from a real life perspective to have both of them out there quite a bit, but you definitely see some capped upside as you're going to see Al Horford have some good games while you're still limited, while Robert Williams is still limited, but his price is going to have to continue to come down as Robert Williams gets ramped up.
Would you, or are you getting to any Peyton Pritchard?
No.
Okay. What is the
Derek White is really cheap now. 4,100 on FanDuel, 3,900 on DK. I don't really know what to make of that. I mean, yeah, we just saw last series where out of the middle of nowhere, he was a god. Peyton Pritchard, quack, quack. Like, what's going on? But Derek White is 3,900 now. It's crazy to me that I'm still not getting there in like a prominent way. But we're talking about a guy who's nearly a fantasy point per minute player. Peyton Pritchard, 0.91. I would rather play Derek White every single time, I think. But if Peyton Pritchard just continues to shoot like a god, sure, yeah, he could still be the guy.
Wait, Peyton Pritchard, why did you say quack, quack? He didn't go to Oregon, did he?
Oh, he sure did.
Oh, in my mind, I had him as one of the Gonzaga players.
Yeah.
For some reason.
College basketball players, where they went to college. Bobby Witt scratched, by the way, if that matters to you.
Senior or junior?
Junior.
Okay.
Yeah. Senior probably past his heyday. I know the dementia's catching up to you, EMac, but the junior version.
Careful.
I was kidding. You're loved.
Yeah.
Right. Control, like Monster from Muppets. It's good.
Yes. All right. Is EMac in the CSGO streets today? No, I'm only in those streets when there are DK crowns to be had. Otherwise, I do not play those sports. But when I do, I use the Awesemo tools because they are phenomenal. So I was playing a fair amount of League of Legends, and I used to call it CSGO. I did not know it was called CSGO. But does that surprise anybody? No, absolutely not. It's pouring rain here. I wonder how it's pouring rain here. Not going to be an issue in Baltimore. That's kind of interesting. I didn't see any weather issues for Baltimore, by the way. Looking at their local radar, it looked like it wasn't going to happen until about 4 o'clock.
We're looking at Mr. Radar.
That's
a Spaceballs reference again. I've had a lot of Spaceballs references lately.
Spaceballs, the movie.
Spaceballs, the flamethrower. The kids love this one.
Yeah, Mel Brooks, quality,
good stuff. Quality.
We have 8 minutes to go. For those of you that have not uploaded your lineups like me, you probably should. So I'm going to do that right now. Are your lineups loaded and taken care of?
Well, no, because I had like 4% Bobby Witt, so I went back to the drawing board, finishing up that.
Isn't their game when their game's later than right?
Yeah, it's later, but I mean, it's still just the context of all my lineups, and I forgot.
After reworking everybody for Wander Franco, I'm not reworking. I will just do a direct replacement.
I just capped every Boston batter at 5%, and I feel sick to my stomach because they're totally going to be the team that just smashes now.
They're in a good spot against Jordan Lyles, who seems.
I have more Jordan Lyles than I'm comfortable admitting.
Really?
Yeah, I have like 13% of him.
Interesting. I did that last night with Dane Dunning. It worked out. Sometimes it does. Other times, not so much.
Sometimes it may be good. Sometimes maybe.
Who is your most owned player shaping up to be on DraftKings right now?
I will pull it up. It is going to be Otto Porter and Dylan Brooks, 1-2. Welcome to the dark side, everybody. Giannis is very close to them. They're all right around mid 60s. So Otto Porter, again, he's 3,700. You have no Iguodala. He's got to have a path to minutes. He's projected for 27.9%. So for a guy that's played 24, 22, 22, 25 minutes in 4 of the last 5 here for this Golden State team, they don't have a lot of ammunition coming off the bench now that they're starting Poole and Curry together. But I feel as though Otto Porter is going to have to be out there quite a bit. Tyus Jones, look at that. Somebody just brought him up because I feel like I'm kind of rehashing everything we haven't talked about yet. Tyus Jones goes in that category of guys that I can't believe how many times he closed in that Minnesota series. But the major difference for me is going to be that I think he could have the path to more minutes in this one. Just thinking about the way that the lineups are presented, they took D'Angelo Russell off the floor, put in McLaughlin to close out that Minnesota game. So it was like a 1v1. But there's a number of ways that Tyus Jones can land on the floor. When you have Clay, when you have Steph, when you have Jordan Poole, they all fit in kind of the context. They're not too large for Tyus Jones to really be playing defensively. None of those guys are going to be posting him up ever. They're all spot shooters and creating shooters. So like for me, Tyus Jones has a path to getting to a couple more minutes in the series. I think what's tough about him is he's 4K. And I do think Kyle Anderson actually even fits more into what they could be doing defensively against this Golden State team with all the shooters. So I feel like I'm more inclined to go his direction, but I definitely want to get shares of Tyus Jones as well. I'm not going to make a group to exclude him and Kyle Anderson, but if I'm hand building out lineups, I definitely don't want them to be overlapping in them. Anderson and Jones, that is.
I have a ton of Giannis.
Yeah, Giannis is my highest owned stud. I said that from the get-go.
He's coming in way more than Steph Curry is at the moment. I did not think that was going to be the case.
It's a positional thing too, EMac.
Yeah, well, but and then Otto Porter. Nothing says happy Sunday like 70% Otto Porter.
Porter. Hey, Porter.
God.
That was for you.
All right. Let's just play 79 lineups tonight. Let's upload these. We've got 5 minutes to go. That way I won't have to worry about it. What is the player you are most terrified of not having besides Grayson Allen?
It's the player I'm most terrified. John Morant's the guy who could ruin my day really, really quickly. I feel like I've said that a lot of series with, or like a lot of the games in the Minnesota series. And, you know, there are a number of times he went nuts. Luckily, Chris Paul bailed me out the one night, but I think he's the guy that could really destroy it. I'm underweight to that 27% or 37. What's the last run that we just had? Let me pull up DK so I'm not misspeaking. We have 34.8%. I have 9, so that would be bad.
Yes. Wow. I'm also saying wow because somehow I've ended up with, I can't fix this, Kevon Looney. How much Looney do you have?
So he's a guy that isn't going to be starting here in this starting unit going forward. You got to think that against Memphis, they're just killing them on the boards, that you're going to have Looney out there for more minutes. We saw 22, even off the bench there for him. But it's going to be Draymond Green. Draymond Green's going to be the priority guy for this team against Memphis, and they're going to be able to go small if they want to there. I think Porter has more utility off the bench. I just don't want to get carried away. Sure, it's a price thing when you're looking at Looney at 3,100, but I think he's going to be more popular than what you probably want to be tangoing with today.
I have 55%.
What?
Yeah.
He could play like 10 minutes. You know that, right?
Yes, that's why dealer one time. This is what happens when you don't cap your players and you're not paying attention. Hey, it's only money. But you know what? We're going to talk about PrizePicks here shortly because PrizePicks is a lot of fun and we're going an extra 30 minutes. We will also be able to, once we hit lock here, transition. We'll probably have about 5 minutes before tip-off starts, depending on how aggressive the television is with starting on time today. It's sort of been hit or miss. Is Brooke Lopez why do I want to read this?
Michael Roundtree always burns.
Is Robert Williams a good to great play for a single entry high dollar GPP on DK?
Is who?
Robert Williams, Time Lord. I'm going to say
yes. Yeah, I mean, I think he's just exceptional for GPPs. Like you should embrace a lot of that volatility. I don't think he's going to get as owned as he should be considering he's starting. I don't know. I think 24 minutes of him is still very live, under 5K over on FanDuel specifically, where you get that bump for stocks. it's just crazy seeing 4,900 as the number there. I think he's firmly in play for me over there. DK, it's interesting. 5K doesn't have as much utility, but there's still going to be a ceiling there. The guy could have 4 or 5 blocks in any given game, just less of a priority, but you can play 2 centers over there. I just find myself landing on more on FanDuel.
Jordan Klein, member for 14 months, would like to know,
who's that?
Brooke Lopez, a bus driver or a rider?
Is he what?
A bus driver or a rider? Is that a riddle?
I don't understand the question.
I don't either. No.
That's what it is. That's what you're getting at. That's cool.
Gotcha. No, have not. But as we've mentioned before, Brooke Lopez's grandfather was my mom's driver's ed teacher. True story.
The things you come to lie before lock for.
That and Vin Scully. Because
my Vin Scully story is pretty great, though.
Do you want to tell your Vin Scully story for those that didn't hear on the baseball show? We will hit PrizePicks. I'm calling up all. So real quick, go to PrizePicks at Awesemo.com. You can go to NBA projections and then scroll down, and we have the free PrizePicks prop tool that will list percentage-wise your best options for today's games. You can also go to our sister site, oddsshopper.com, and you will click on NBA in the upper left, and then again in the upper left, you will see a PrizePicks logo that has the parlay builder. You can click on that, and it will tell you which parlay to build. They're still working on getting the bugs out. Sometimes it does put in the same player more than once for different bets. You can't do that on PrizePicks. The only rules you have there is you got to pick players from at least 2 different teams. Doesn't have to be sports, just 2 different teams. You can be in the same game, and you can only use a player once per card. You can set up 2, 3, 4, or 5 questions. So let's wait. We'll do the Vin Scully stuff once PrizePicks.
Yeah, let's do that. And also PrizePicks. Yeah, that's not going to lock here. We also have 5 minutes before baseball locks. If you guys have a burning baseball question, why not? It's always something where I know everybody's playing all the DFS. I kind of pride myself on being somebody who can talk about it on a whim and can be competent about it. But I'm uncomfortable how much Andujar and frickin' Higashioka I have on the back end of this Yankees lineup, because they're just going to be relatively underowned.
I believe I'm going the chalk donkey route today, but you did mention, so PrizePicks, one of the nice things they have there is while we don't have like home runs is not something they have there, but you can wager on that via hitter fantasy points,
right,
or total bases would be the 2 ways that you would want to look at that. I do like their pitcher options. You get to do strikeouts, which is pretty straightforward. Pitching out, so how deep do you think somebody's going to go in a game? So like if somebody has 15 outs, that means, do you think they will go more than 5 innings or less than 5 innings? The push would be 15. If there are pushes, or if you end up with the DNP for your player, that just comes out of your card. It doesn't invalidate the whole card. It would just turn a 5 question card into a 4 question card and then follow those scoring parameters. So PrizePicks wants you to have a very good user experience here. So that is something that's important.
Oh, Loco, you're one of us. He's tilting the Witt Jr. scratch. We had Wander Franco, Witt Jr., and some really funky Sunday lineups. Sunday lineups for baseball are always just the best, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like the starters go out on Saturday night. They really, some guys just coast out. They don't play. It's beautiful stuff.
Who is Bobby Witt? Why am I blanking on this? Bobby Witt
Kansas City.
He plays for Kansas. Okay,
yeah,
so their game's not starting right now, so I can deal with that.
No, you're fine.
Okay. Because or I could just global. Oh no, because I want to use all my money because some of those players suck at that price point. Okay, so
it's a nice way of telling you suck, you jackass.
But it's true. Was that a Jerky Boys reference?
No, it's not. That was a Happy Gilmore reference.
Oh, that was my second guess, because that was kind of the same time frame of when I was watching that kind of.
Oh, okay. Hang on one sec. 4K2, you were upset because you don't have the ownership for Curry. Ownership for Curry. I'll give you that here super quick as we're looking at it. 8,900. He is currently 27.6% owned on DK. There you are. Congratulations.
I ended up with 50% Curry.
There you go. So you went from not having
50% Kevon Looney.
You're really a disturbed person.
It's going to be a weird day.
There's a non-zero chance that he doesn't play, but I would be surprised.
Actually, that's very true.
I'd be surprised, but in this series, with the way Memphis matches up, if they're just killing him on the boards, he's going to be out there for 20 minutes. So, like, you're right. Brandon Clark, JJJ together, they might bring him on, but they've proven they don't really want to have Looney and Draymond together too much. That's why they mixed up the starting unit.
Yeah, that is still a mess. So let me just go global swap here with Bobby Witt, and we'll move on with our day because that just...
Yeah, 27% is not bad for a 2-game slate for a sub 9K Steph Curry who's going to play upper 30s minutes. It's not bad. In the same way that Jason Tatum doesn't rebound, Steph Curry's not going to add other things other than scoring, but both of them can annihilate a slate in that direction. It's just, they're both fantastic plays. Tatum and
now I'm playing Giovanni Ursula. This is not bad. Well.
Oh yeah, welcome to the dark side, my friend.
Let me just cross that out.
Let's go Twins.
So PrizePicks, not only do they have first half bets, as I mentioned, they have first quarter bets. They are, if you're going to make your cards now, you have 5 minutes to go. If the game does start, they'll pull the cards immediately and you won't be able to save them. So that is important to know. As I mentioned, you can go over, I'll just drop this into chat, but we offer the free PrizePicks bets. Best bets each day for their props. We don't do the fantasy point ones, but we do all the other props. If you want the fantasy points, we've got that. That's behind the paywall. You can also go to Odd Shopper, and if you can find an aligned PrizePicks wager, you will also find our actual what's coming out of Alex's DFS model into those player props. So that is quite helpful. Otto Porter Jr. over 4 rebounds is the best PrizePicks wager of the day. 70% likelihood of that coming to fruition. Are you feeling good about that?
Yeah, I would hope so, because I have a ton of him in DFS. And if you were to give me 5.6 rebounds for him right now, I would absolutely love that. Part of that is it's plus 120, 65% expected win percentage, though. That's viable. That's kind of in the threshold where I think it's PrizePicks playable as well. So if that's going to be the identical number to take over to PrizePicks, I like that. I'm more concerned with expected win percentages. And Alex explained to me on Twitter one time about the difference of how they go about with the projections, difference between median mean, which we all learned in elementary school math. But at the same time, that kind of changes what the expected win percentage is going to be PrizePicks as opposed to a sports book, kind of the way that the payout structure works on PrizePicks. So I would never, ever, ever play anything that didn't have better than a 60% expected win percentage. That's like a very low bar for me in terms of taking it over to PrizePicks. So seeing a 65% win percentage, that's great. And then for sportsbooks purposes, 43% expected ROI plus 120 attached to something that happens 2/3 of the time. It's an absolute smash for both purposes.
All right, so I'm looking here at Robert Williams. We got 3 minutes to go. Looks like our best bet here is fantasy points. We have them projected for 24. It's FanDuel scoring. The PrizePicks line is 20, so I will do that with Otto Porter rebounds on the over. I'm worried I won't get that one in, so I'm going to just place that one now. That's a 2-player card, so and I did it with where I had to get both of them right. I think they took away the 2-player flex option. But usually once you get up to 3, you can choose a flex option, which means if you don't get all of your bets correct,
they didn't take away the 2-player option. It just has to be a power play. You can't flex it now. You can play just 2. Yep. Because I played 2 pretty heavily yesterday. It was Jose Berrios under 5.5 that hit, and the over of 6.5 Kershaw that hit. And that was my big 2-man stand.
All right. And then reminder for PrizePicks, they are constantly doing things to give users great experiences there. So right now, the promo code Awesemo gets you your initial deposit match up to $100. You put in 50, they'll give you 50. You put in 100, they'll give you 100. You put in 200, they're still going to give you 100. It just matches your first 100. And in addition to that, you get 33 days of Awesemo premium content. They'll send us your contact information. We in turn will get you a promo code for 33 days of all access. Awesemo Fantasy Cruncher is a separate add-on for that. Some of the fun things they do, Eric, the random deposit bonuses. When do we ever get deposit bonuses anymore? They did super payouts before. Every Tuesday, they pick 2 or 3 different players. They call it Taco Tuesday. They knock about 15 to 20% off whatever their targeted stat is. Then you get to vote on it on Twitter or in their Discord, but you get to put between $20 and $30, depending on what their rules are for that day of in play on that. And they try to, their whole goal is to make it a gimme. They get excited. They're like, we're 22 and of 24 tacos. All
it's a great site. They do a lot of really fun stuff that keeps it interesting. You can play in any single sport that you want. Like I have a card that has 2 baseball props from yesterday, a golf prop, and an NBA prop. Like, when can you do that?
Yeah,
it's pretty great. I'm in California. You can obviously do it, but like from what I understand, you can't parlay props across multiple sites on sports books. Like you have to basically, or there's like a different payout structure for it. You can combine single game parlays, I guess, on different tickets. And as I've become more familiar, my parents are splitting time in Arizona here for the future. I'm going to be able to go out and visit them, and obviously I can play sports books there. But PrizePicks in California, I feel like I get a little bit of everything that I want. And as you said, there's opportunities to get freebies. Like they have that esports thing that they had the other day where it was a risk-free $20 bet and it hit. And you basically got $60 just by signing up, like just by playing in it. And if it didn't hit, you were getting $20 back. So it was an absolute freebie.
Yeah, so that's a lot of fun. Again, I get an email from them every day that I can go quickly look at and see whatever their prize is for the day. Because, when you're on your work computer and behind the firewall, you can't go to these DFS sites. Although hat tip to Awesemo for coming up with a name that doesn't have fantasy in it, because I think that's the name they block for everything. Because I can't even, if I'm on ESPN, I can't go to the fantasy page. If I'm on Yahoo, I can't go to the fantasy page, right? They know what they're doing here at work.
David Porter. Draymond Green was not there in that Memphis game. Like it is, Matt Duffy scratch. That is gigantic. That is really bad for me. This is very bad.
Why are we talking about Draymond Green?
Oh, because he said 35 and 35 minutes earlier this season. Kuminga was starting. Kuminga was in the rotation. He's not in the rotation really right now.
He's not.
He's not going to play.
Mop-up duty at best.
Yeah, at best. And he could go out and in his 8 minutes, knock down some threes and be serviceable. He's another cheapie that could fit into that. But it's such a flyer. It's ridiculous.
Who was our latest hangover?
Matt Duffy. Matt Duffy matters big time.
Let's see. Who's he playing?
He's batting
for these
fifth
days?
for the Angels. How do you I have 12. You don't know who Matt Duffy plays for?
I know it's not San Francisco anymore.
Okay.
And I know he disappeared out of the league for a while.
He did. But he's known as a lefty killer and whatever else. I just had a lot of them
batting fifth. If you think lefty killers that hit the ball to the shortstop is a lefty killer.
Thanks, EMac. Appreciate it.
Over under on Matt Duffy hits that leave the infield today.
0 because he's not playing.
Oh, that's true. And yet somehow I have him all over my lineups.
See?
Because he was batting fifth and he's in all my Angels.
And he's sub 3K. I said he mattered a lot.
Yeah.
What would you do without me today? You would have
lose money. I would lose money, Eric. I would lose
Oh my
money.
God. Oh, we'd get Adele batting cleanup. Is that Adele batting cleanup? Am I reading that right? No, he's batting fifth. I'm going to have so much Adele. It's stupid.
You going to be rolling in the deep? What? We got that. All right. Do you want to tell here? I'm gonna make you feel better. Do you want to tell your Vin Scully story, and then I'll tell my much better Vin Scully.
No, well, I mean mine's pretty quick.
Yeah, just tell.
I was playing golf at a golf course here in LA, and there's this little fancy little country club that I got invited by a member to go to and play. And there's this big patio with a bunch of celebrities, and they were all sitting in a circle listening to this old guy talk who I had never seen in my entire life, completely unaware. So I hit my tee shot because they've got number 1 and number 10 kind of right next to the patio there at lunch. And so I hit my tee shot on 10, and whatever else everybody's watching, it got like really loud there for a second, and I backed off of it. He's like, "Oh, be quiet." Everybody was just up there causing a ruckus, bunch of celebrities just having a blast listening to this guy tell stories. I was like, whatever. So I hit a good shot and everybody starts clapping. He's like, "Great shot, kid." And I'm like, whatever, it's the weirdest thing ever. I was like, who is that guy? And everybody in my group was like, what? I was like, who's that guy? I've never seen him in my life. It was Vin Scully. Didn't recognize him. Didn't even know who he was at the time. I was brand new to LA. And now if somebody were to do that and I was in their group, I would punish them by just ending their lives right there.
Yeah. Only the best. I understand ever. So,
He is truly the best announcer I've ever heard in my life.
All right. So I was at this wedding once, and it was Armenian. I'm Armenian. So it was the Armenian wedding, right? So have you ever seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
I have.
It's basically my big fat Armenian wedding, right? It's just, these are off the hook. You get the old guys coming up onto the dance floor with their canes and their walkers, and then all of a sudden they're doing the Arthur Fonzarelli dance.
Somebody call 911.
Yeah.
Shorty out there busting on the dance floor. Oh, whoa. Jordan Klein bob in the head. Let's go. Get that producer cam back in action. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, we're gonna need the producer cam. So anyway, so we're up there, and so you have to give a toast, and the cousin that was gonna do it for our side of the family wasn't there, so I ended up doing it, right? So I got to go sit up at the table of honor or whatever with the bridal party, and there was this spot empty with me, and they kept saying, no, Scully's running late. He's stuck at work. He's late at work. I'm like, what is this, right? We're down in Southern California, etc. So we come up, and finally they're like, Scully's in the parking lot. Can you go first? So I give my speech, and real quick, and end it with some Armenian platitude and all that fun stuff. And so in walks Ben Scully, of all people. That's who the Scully was. So he got up, and he was giving the speech for the other side of the family, one of the, not real relatives, but just the honor, the honor speech. Yeah. And so he gets up, and he says, I'm gonna tell everybody the 12 greatest words. It's from my friend John. And I'm like, okay, well, this is pretty good. So he said, fire up the loud, another round of shots, turn down for what? Drop the mic. Crowd goes crazy.
What?
Oh yeah. I mean,
that is the greatest story I've ever heard.
He rips off the whole Little John turn down for what lyrics. It was amazing.
Oh my God.
Never happened.
As if that guy
it was a good story. Boom.
Oh. I'm sweating Jordan Lyles of all people. Do you know how owned he ended up in the dollar on DK? 3%. He has a K. That's good.
How do you? Wow.
I played a lot of Jordan Lyles. Dude, that is not having Franchi Cordero. If you didn't show up in the middle of that lineup, I wouldn't have done it. But
going for will Cordero be in there long enough to have a golden sombrero today?
I think he could. He could pull it off.
Ben Napple says he'd like to have his 5 minutes back. Hey, I'd like to have the last 75 minutes back too. We'd be building lineups that didn't have a bunch of people scratched for my baseball, but here we are.
Any more info on the Angels lineup? I think it ended up being Fletcher that ended up coming in, if I am looking at this correctly.
Oh yeah, it is, because Adele's already in.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. So good. Oh, good. I can just do a swap for Fletcher. That makes sense. Great, because that's what you want. The Angels number 8
Matt Duffy. Never mind. I'll find someone like you.
Yeah.
I'll make it work.
batting a few spots later.
Yeah, let's do it. Scully firing up the loud. I mean, turn down for what? That's just too good. That's too good.
Good. It is, but it is the 12 greatest words. I mean, come on. What kind of a song? That's just
8-8 Milwaukee, Boston. So we're watching this in real time. You just had Giannis turn it over here to Jason Tatum after Tatum got a foul. So you're looking at that. Tatum off to a slow start here in 4 minutes. Not that it matters. Giannis, another turnover. Jaylen Brown with the steal. Giannis 2-2, but that's now 2 turnovers in the last 2 possessions. We got some stuff happening here, but Drew Holiday, 2 for 2 from 3. Great start here for him. Bobby Portis now with the shooting foul. Way to go, refs. Welcome to the game. Good to see you all here. 3 quickies for Milwaukee in the first 4 minutes.
What are things that you can't really draw anything from the first rotation of the first game of a series.
No, but what you can do is that sometimes there's second halves on PrizePicks, and this is something that I've been doing quite a bit, especially at the end of the season. There were so many opportunities to guys that would just enter or be removed from the rotation, and sometimes on PrizePicks they don't go so deep that it's going to matter. And because they don't even have the second half up right now. So they do. Here we go. So if somebody picks up 2 quickies, if there's like opportunities to get in, let's say somebody gets hurt, obviously Peyton Pritchard over 2.5 points. We have 2.5 points sitting there. Let's say Marcus Smart picks up 3 fouls or something of that nature. there's such an opportunity to jump in on some of these props. Let's say Derek White ends up playing 10 minutes and is smashing in the first half rotation. He's got a 3.5 point prop. So towards the end of last season, I could go through it, but I mean, I was playing a lot of like $30, $40, $50 props where I'd play 2 or 3 of these together, just based on what the rotation was that nobody really anticipated it being for the last week or 2 weeks of the season. The same thing can kind of exist in these series where out of the middle of nowhere, let's say Peyton Pritchard's the first guy off the bench here for the Celtics. Let's say Grant Williams ends up playing, a bunch of minutes here in the first half. There's ways to be in on the overs or short guys who don't come off the bench. I think, there's a fantasy score that's attached to most of them. Grayson Allen would be the one guy. He's got an 11 fantasy score for the second half. Let's watch this first half, everybody, because something tells me, I mean, again, I have 0 Grayson Allen in my lineup, so I am very firmly against him. I'm already going to like the under of 11 fantasy points there. I had him only projected for 17 in this entire game. So, I mean, that 11 number for a second half is just too big already. So look at these second half props and stay alert.
Yeah, that actually is a good bit of advice there. I haven't done their second half props quite as much, but I've been doing, last night I did a lot of look ahead bets because I still wanted to take advantage of that, make 5 player cards and get a 13 payout, a 13x payout instead of a 10x payout. So I went ahead and I was picking players from the next series. I did some from today and I did some baseball from today just because I did it after all the baseball and everything was closed out yesterday. And I was like, well, if this promotion's still going, I've hit a couple today. I'm playing with house money. Let me go run another 10 of these out there. So all I got to do is hit one of them and I break even with a little change in my pocket, hit 2 of them or get some of them 4 of 5 or 3 of 5. And I'm going to be doing all right. So that's one of the nice things there at PrizePicks. Additionally, as we mentioned, multiple sports going across the field. You can also do futures bets for NFL stats at this point. They'll have them up for NBA at some point, but you can do. I locked a bunch of those in with, like Trevor. Here's a card: Trevor Lawrence under 4,000 yards, Kyler Murray under 4,100 yards, Dak Prescott under 6,000, Burrow under 4,600, Matt Stafford under 4,700. Why do I take the unders? One, I felt they were a little bit too high, and quarterbacks almost always miss one game, it seems like, these days. And so the way that was projecting out, the 17 game starts become 16, and it was numbers that I like. Plus, all you need is a couple bad weather games or just things to go amiss, and the unders will happen. I learned this kind of the hard way on doing the NBA overs for the second half of the season. I had a bunch of them that I thought were good, like Kyle Kuzma was really coming on, and then he got hurt and didn't play the rest of the season, or they shut him down, whatever. I had some Joel Embiid ones, but I had a few that were great until the players just randomly got injured one or minorly injured one game, and then their teams just shut them down for the rest of the year. And you're like, okay, that sucks. And I was trying to pick some unders because I did take some unders that hit, but I lost too many overs. So I'm doing something different for NFL with this early stuff.
Yeah. So I last year, again, do you want to lock up your money when the first game is September 8th and it's not going to pay out till January? That's something to be discussed. If you want to talk about just long-term investing in anything, whether or not that's a good idea. But if you're able to get enough coin on it to have it matter, I think that I'm with you. Last year, my big stand was the under on Derrick Henry rushing yards. He's had such a crazy allotment of just year after year after year, just basically faded the injury bug. And eventually a guy who's getting that much volume, who's that involved and runs that ridiculously well, is going to get hurt. I got very lucky that ended up happening because he was on his way to go way over his rushing total for the season. He almost got there in 8 weeks or whatever it was. So Derrick Henry, I'm probably going to be shorting again this season. Javonte Williams is out there with 1,100.5 yards. I mean, Melvin Gordon got re-signed, right? We're not looking at a spot where Javonte Williams is going to just be the absolute timeshare guy. Is he the most dynamic back on that team by far? Yes, he is. He's going to be involved in the passing game. You would think with Russell Wilson going forward, they didn't really utilize the passing game with running backs in Seattle in a prominent way. You were looking at Chris Carson being a downhill runner, and then you had Tyler Lockett, you had DK Metcalf, the guys on the outside, but Javonte Williams 11.5 is too many for me in his second season. I loved him at UNC. I love what we saw out of him for the first season. And Can he get to 11.5 with Melvin Gordon alongside him? Sure, he could. But once again, it goes back to what you said. There's so many things where that under can hit, whereas you kind of need him to play football in a bubble to go over it.
Yeah, and so same things. I built out a running back card, and a good point about putting this stuff in. I made 10 cards. I got $50 on this, so this is
nice.
not. I just wanted to see what it was. I did all 5 X's, and if I just hit one of them, I break even. I get 2 of them profit. So that's nice. So I took the unders on Jonathan Taylor 1,400, Nick Chubb 1,350, Joe Mixon 1,125, Najee Harris 1,150, and Derrick Henry 1,450. They all had huge workloads. And all it takes is these guys to only play 14 games, and they're not going to hit these totals. I mean, we've seen the 1,000-yard rusher become not quite the milestone that it once was because teams are going so heavy on the passing.
Correct.
So that's changed things up. Same thing I did on. So I mentioned the quarterback cards I made. I made some receiver cards, and I was just doing this to kind of keep them organized and just keep my eye on certain things. But I took Tyreek Hill. These are all unders. Tyreek Hill 1,300, Jamar Chase 1,300, Stephon Diggs 1,200, Cooper Kupp 1,450. I don't think we see a season again like we did this last year, and Justin Jefferson under 1,475. Those numbers are all too high.
Not only that, but think about this. So Robert Woods got shipped off to Tennessee. There's going to be a free agent signing there, and yeah, there's no doubt this Matthew Stafford to Cooper Kupp thing is ridiculous. But there's going to be another wide receiver that gets signed or gets moved to LA. I find it impossible to believe that that's not going to be the case. And if we had Odell Beckham for an entire season with LA, that would have definitely cut into that Cooper Kupp, that production. So I'm with you.
Yeah. And again, these are just, even if we're wrong, were we really right? Even if we were right, were we really wrong? Right. We're playing some probabilities here and other situations. So it's really hard to consider these, but I like, and this is for folks that don't have the sports books in their states, and they do have PrizePicks. They're doing almost everything that the sports books are doing. Plus you get the fantasy points on most of these. And that's a lot of fun to do as well. So that I think is a key thing to consider here. And their interface is very nice. I haven't downloaded their app on the phone because I don't like to use phone apps. Other than just to kind of keep score of stuff, but I like their interface on the computer.
Love it. Me too.
You use your phone or your iPad, right, for this?
I use my computer now because there's different gadgets you can have to upload your projections from Google Chrome, and you can have them on the screen alongside it on PrizePicks, and I really enjoy that.
Really? This is a wrinkle.
Yeah. I can literally, because it just got to be so time consuming.
Yeah,
while I was on shows,
back and forth,
so you can build out things on Google Chrome, and I've been trying to learn more about that. One thing that I really want to get better at, I doubt I'm ever going to get into coding or anything of that nature, but app development is something that I think is really a useful skill, especially nowadays. And obviously coding's a part of that, but there's things you can do to just get there's different paths where you can bring your projections, you can upload them. Like I'm looking at my screen, I can look exactly at the numbers. So Steph Curry, 25.5 points. I have him projected for 24.8. John Morant, 23.5 points. I have him projected for 24.6. Klay Thompson, I can just literally see it on everything. Points plus rebounds plus assists, 37 for Steph Curry, 37.5. So again, these are things that are just obvious, not bets, but it made it so much easier for me on shows just by learning how to upload that and get my projections to show up on the screen. It's not that hard. There's a ton of apps that can help you learn how to do that. YouTube exists. So I just kind of, it made it cleaner for me to be able to talk about my projections or talk about the projections we have here at Awesemo. I can do the exact same thing. And a lot of days I will just upload them from here because we have the best projections on planet Earth. And, there's days like today where it's just 2 games. So it's not that hard for me to tweak my own stuff. And so it just uploads directly onto the page and it looks great.
We're gonna have to talk. You've now become the Greg Aaron.
Robert Williams, 5 rebounds, 4 points, 1 block, 13 on FanDuel, leads all scores. What's going on, fam? How we're
gonna get 30, 20 fantasy points, baby.
I'm mad because I was going to just jam him on FanDuel. I played 42%. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
All right. Yep, there we go. So I got him and Otto Porter. That'll be a little triple up there. I don't mind those. Do you usually play consistent amounts?
Minnesota Twins, 5 runs in the first. How are we doing this fine day? Good. Thank you so much.
Twins.
And twins.
Was that Gundacker that did that?
He did do that, and I stole it because it's fantastic.
It is, and that commercial, those were great. Fleming.
I have my pen and paper. Eric, show us how. Go to YouTube, go to the Google App Store, and just learn how you can upload stuff directly onto your screen and have it like work back and forth. And a lot of it will depend. Like, I know there's stuff that other sites have where you can upload it to, DraftKings, FanDuel. You have stuff like that where you can upload and have your stuff pull up directly on the screen. I think there's something you can get there that's similar to that, but I kind of wanted to have my own stuff just to be able to cross-reference and talk about faster. Plus, when you're trying to, in real time, react to news on a site, it really helps to be able to just have it sitting there so you can make informed decisions very quickly rather than have to click back and forth on tabs or have it up on your iPad or something like that. Those extra seconds actually make a big difference.
Yeah, it truly does. This is totally, I am now excited to poke around with this. So we'll see if I actually do it.
Extensions.
How long did it take you to build that out? Couple hours.
Hour, 2 hours.
This is very cool.
I got your help. Who
gave you the hint that sort of thing existed?
I can't say it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like that it's some secret thing. It's just a different site that does it.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've seen extensions for like Underdog for doing, or other sites to do your best ball draft percentages. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so it's kind of, it's like the opposite of that, right? That's collecting the information. You're putting the information on.
Correct. Yeah. So they did it. And I was like, well, it can't be that hard to not that. I think they do a fantastic job, but I was like, there has to be a way that I can get my extension to just do it for me. And there is. So do it.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, with
70% Time Lord. Let's go, Anthony Davis. That's good stuff.
Yeah, that should be fun there, Anthony. All right. So we're going to get on out of here. Remember, we've got the NASCAR live before lock coming up after us. They are at Dover this weekend. That would be the Monster Mile 400 lap race. So if you are doing DK Crown milestones for laps led, this is a good one to load up on to get there, because you want to be Onyx, right, Eric? You want to be Onyx. Okay. The top rewards level. DK sent me a cake for my birthday yesterday. That was
congratulations, EMac. 15,000 short. Leave me alone. I'm doing my achievements this year.
Narrator, for those scoring at home, Eric's 1099 was way bigger than EMac's 1099. But we both got 1099. So with that, gamers, you can follow Eric out there on the DF streets at Eric Lindquist. I am at EMac DFS on Twitter, and of course it is Awesemo_.com or Awesemo_com. With that, gamers, good luck. Thanks for you're the best.